Welcome to the Brian Craig Show. This is where MAGA comes to talk, and we have had one of the most eventful weekends in the history of, presidential news. What's happened over the weekend with Venezuela and now moving into Cuba and Greenland is nothing short of extraordinary. We're going to talk about it. We're going to break everything down. We'll take your calls. And we've got a lot of great news going on many other fronts as well that we'll be covering. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure that you follow and subscribe. All right, guys? Oh, man. Okay. So let's get into it. And I'll break down Venezuela in just a few minutes. But the president made some major news on Air Force One on the way back to Washington from Mar-a-Lago here in Florida last night. And, let me just play it for you. This is about Greenland, and then we'll talk about it.
I will say this about Greenland. We need Greenland from a national security situation. It's so strategic. Right now, Greenland is covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And Denmark is not going to be able to do it, I can tell you. You know what Denmark did recently to boost up security in Greenland? They added one more dog sled.
Oh.
It's true.
Sir,
they thought that was a great move.
He's not kidding.
What would the justification be for a claim to Greenland? What would the justification?
Oh, I don't want to talk about Greenland now. I just say this. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And the European Union needs us to have it, and they know that. Okay,
so we need Greenland, and he's got his sights on Greenland. And if you remember, Secretary of State Marco Rubio at the president's press conference on Saturday after we took Venezuela said that when President Trump talks, he means it, that he doesn't blow smoke, he doesn't kid around, and when he says something, you better take it as a serious point. And he's been talking about Greenland since the second term began, but he dropped it for a while. And sorry, guys. And then he brought it up on Air Force One. So he is serious about taking Greenland. There's no doubt in my mind, and I think most people agree with that. So why? And what's the justification? And I'm watching what a lot of the liberals are saying about Venezuela, and Cuba's about to fall. And they just don't understand what's going on here. I saw one person in one of my live stream chat rooms. This morning, I did a live stream at about 4 a.m., and I saw some liberal in there, and they said, oh, so we could just go into any country that hasn't attacked us. Venezuela has been attacking us for our entire lives, okay? There's been, for the last several years, a major land invasion taking place in the United States from Venezuela at the southern border. It's amazing there's anyone left in Venezuela. So many of them have invaded our country. And many of them, these violent terrorist gangs, MS-13ers, the Trinidad guys, and all of that. So, and President Trump says 300,000 Americans have been killed each year through drugs and such coming from Venezuela. So, no, we have been under constant attack, even land invasion from Venezuela for many, many years. So these operations that are going on by President Trump in the Western Hemisphere, because we've got from South America up to Greenland now, these are not offensive. These are, in fact, defensive actions. And what's been going on is not only has the United States been under constant attack by Venezuela and land invasion, the biggest enemies of this country have been attacking our country through Venezuela. China, Cuba, Russia, Iran, and some of the Islamic terrorist organizations have been using Venezuela to cause all kinds of problems in this country. The land invasion, a major crime wave has taken place. They've caused, because of the border issue caused by the Venezuelan invasion, there's been major political dissent in this country, right? They've caused political divisions. Not only with the drugs do people OD from the drugs, but people are victimized through the drug crime. Maybe because of Venezuela as an example, Lake and Riley would be alive today if it wasn't for Venezuela. So, and there's many other lists of things that we could go through. You know what they are. And China, Russia, Cuba, Iran, they have been doing incredible damage to this country through Venezuela and making it more difficult for us to deal with them properly. And the Monroe Doctrine, which was established by President Monroe in the 1820s, clearly states, and this has been U.S. policy, right, for over 202 years, it's been U.S. policy that no foreign influence will be tolerated in the Western Hemisphere. And South America is part of the Western Hemisphere. And so far as Greenland goes, that the president's talking about now, Russia and China have been using the area around Greenland, which is not properly protected by Denmark, to do all kinds of spying and surveillance. And when you're that far north, traveling around the globe is a little easier because the distance is shorter when you get to the top of the planet like that. And there's a major national security issue for the United States, all of the Western Hemisphere, and even Europe because of the weakness of Greenland by Denmark. And President Trump could very well declare Greenland is ours. First of all, Denmark, which owns Greenland, the native population of Greenland are Inuit Indians, like the Eskimos. There's about 50,000 of them. And how many of them are children? So I don't have the exact number of adults, but I would estimate there's about 30 to 35,000 adults in Greenland. There are fewer people who live in Greenland, the natives, than there are at your average Trump rally, right? They're being ripped off and exploited by Denmark. Greenland not only is strategically important to protect us from China and Russia, but Greenland is a very wealthy country with minerals, and Denmark is stealing them all. If the United States, we don't need any of those things. We've got our own minerals. If President Trump makes the move to take Greenland, the natives of Greenland are going to be wealthy beyond imagination because there's going to be a big profit sharing among this very small group of people, the native Greenlanders, and all the profits from the ore and minerals that are in Greenland. Believe me, they want to be a part of the United States, just like Venezuela. And we very well could find that Venezuela becomes a territory of the United States like Puerto Rico. President Trump said yesterday that we've got to get the economy of Venezuela back on track before we can have an election. No doubt about that. Venezuela will be a rich place again. But whether they'll be able to govern themselves fully, who knows? And if they became I think the people of Venezuela would welcome being a territory of the United States, like Puerto Rico. They'd be self-governing in that they would elect a governor and everything else, and they would be very well off, and they would have nothing to worry about. And what we're going to see is not only Venezuela is now an ally of the United States, by the way, and President Trump has put together this Latin American alliance that grew. El Salvador. These are all MAGA countries that Trump has formed an alliance with. El Salvador, Honduras, Venezuela, Argentina, and Chile. That's it. And which one is next? Whether it's Mexico or Colombia, who knows? But he's putting together this alliance with the United States of Latin American countries, and he's kicking out the foreigners that are there in violation of the Monroe Doctrine. Now, the Monroe Doctrine isn't taught in schools too much anymore. It was when I was in school. But President Kennedy used the Monroe Doctrine in the Cuban Missile Crisis and said, no Soviets in our hemisphere. And there was a blockade around Cuba challenging them. Yeah, Cuba's about to fall. Cuba's been on the verge of falling because of poverty since the commies took over, or at least since the Soviet Union fell. Because the Soviets were bankrolling Cuba. But they've been getting free oil from Venezuela for a long, long time. And even with that, they've had shortages. So now that all of that oil has been cut off from Venezuela to Cuba, they have no oil coming to them now. How long can Cuba survive with its current leadership with the Venezuelan oil being cut off? Right now, they only have the electricity on a few hours a day. You hear these stories all the time. I would imagine in Havana, the electricity's on the most, because that's the center of everything. They do have tourists that go there from Canada and Europe. They want to have electricity. And, of course, the leadership and the government that runs this country is in Havana. But without the Venezuelan oil, are they going to be able to keep the power plants on at all? Even 5 minutes a day? You know, and I know here in Florida over the years when we've had really bad hurricanes and the gas stations have been shut down, you get a few days in, it gets really sketch. And the longest I've been here in South Florida without power, with our gas stations and such, after a hurricane was 2 weeks. And when you get to about that week to 2 week point, it's already turning into the road warrior, okay? I mean, it's getting really sketch. Cuba is a communist dictatorship. Would they be able to run and still be a dictatorship if they have no oil coming from Venezuela? And it's not a matter of if Cuba will fall. They will. It's how long will it take Cuba to fall, right? Will it be a year? Will it be 6 months? They will fall. And, of course, the UN Security Council is meeting today. They have a panicked meeting over Maduro. So what? Who cares? First of all, we're on that Security Council, and we have a veto. We're a permanent member of the Security Council of the United States. So if they pass some resolution or some action, it'll get vetoed. But who cares about the UN? And, you know, for all of these people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and everyone who's out there criticizing Trump, there is nothing more America first that any president has done in my lifetime than liberate Venezuela, and if he takes Greenland, do the same thing. These are things that are going to solve so many of the problems we're facing. I mean, you look at the border problems, the crime that comes along with that, the strain on our infrastructure, the political division in this country, how the illegals have affected our makeup in Congress, how many people have died from the border issues and everything that's going on. Major disruptions. And President Trump is solving this. You know, the wall's going to be built. It's being built. It's almost finished. But it's going to be almost unnecessary because there are not going to be any more caravans coming. We're going to have, even if Venezuela does not become a territory of the United States, which I think is a great idea. Would you guys support Venezuela becoming a territory of the United States like Puerto Rico? I think that's a great idea. But even if it doesn't, we're going to have permanent military bases down there. We're going to have permanent Army bases, Air Force bases, as well as a naval base. No doubt about it in my mind. And that's it. Colombia is probably next because President Trump keeps referencing the cocaine factories. And now that we have a stronghold in Venezuela launching military action on the cocaine factories of Colombia is probably much easier today than it was before the removal of Maduro from Venezuela. But taking control of Greenland would keep China and Russia out of those waters. And when the president said this yesterday, remember Rubio said, this president doesn't play. He says what he means what he says, and he's a man of action, and he's going to take action on what he says.
I will say this about Greenland. We need Greenland from a national security situation. It's so strategic. Right now, Greenland is covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place.
Yep.
We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And Denmark is not going to be able to do it, I can tell you.
What would the justification be
You know what
for-
Denmark did recently to boost up security in Greenland? They added one more dog sled. It's true.
Sir, what would
They
the
thought that was a great move.
What would the justification be for a claim to Greenland? What would the justification?
Oh, I don't want to talk about Greenland now.
Then it-
I just say this. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And the European Union needs us to have it. And they know that. I will say.
All right. Now, if you'd like to call in, please do. The number's toll free, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. If you're already on hold, stand by. All right, let's take some calls. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning. Good morning to you.
Oh, hey, Richard.
Happy New Year. And
Absolutely.
I hope you and your wife have a healthy year.
Well, your wife must be excited being from Venezuela.
Yeah, here's the story. I'm gonna. In a way, it's not condescending. I'm gonna educate you and a lot of other people here. This Venezuela. What President Trump is doing, what he did was the most beautiful thing in the world, but not just to free the Venezuelan people because there's a lot of problems right there at this time. It's the oil, and it has to do with the oil, and I'm going to explain. The Cuban Missile Crisis people know that Russia had missiles pointed right at us at the time in 1960, I believe it was. And President John F. Kennedy made an agreement with Fidel Castro that we would not invade Cuba for 75 years under the agreement as long as they pull the missiles out. Because of that agreement, Cuba had to survive. We've had ships all around Cuba trying to stop everything, trying to economically kill them for years and years and years. Yet they survive. And you know why they survive? Because they expanded. Cuba is Venezuela.
That's right.
Cuba, Chavez, when he was in there, Chavez was Castro's little boy. He depended on Cuba for security purposes. Cuba has put all our enemies on the island. Then they expanded. They started going into Colombia. This is all about Cuba, man. This is about cutting Cuba off. We have not been able to do this for all these years, and Cuba is the biggest problem in the world because Cuba is Venezuela, and people don't realize that. If we cut the oil off from Cuba, Cuba will fall. I watched the president of Cuba. They're in a total meltdown. And it's all about their survival because Russia fell apart and Russia oil, they cannot survive with the Russian oil. So I forgot what they call that when you encircle ships around a country.
Blockade.
It was a failure. Blockade. We failed with the blockade. And all that we did was get Cuban migrants coming into South Florida.
Yeah.
We totally failed. But Venezuela has become Cuba South, and Colombia has become Cuba South.
Well, Marco Rubio said Venezuela has been basically a colony. Hold on, Richard, I answer these phones. Marco Rubio said at the press conference on Saturday that Venezuela is basically a colony of Cuba, and if you go into their government agencies, like the intelligence agency and everything else, it's all run by Cubans.
All Cubans.
So how long can Cuba survive without the Venezuelan oil that we're now cutting off 100%?
Not long.
Nope.
Not long.
Nope.
And it is about oil. What's wrong with that? I watched Sunday shows. I didn't get to call you. Those shows, I mean, the most condescending skunk in the world is Stephanopoulos. So condescending. What lawful right do we have to go in and snatch the president? He's not a president. He's a narco.
He's a cartel boss. He's a cartel boss. Yeah, like you.
He's a bus driver. Do you think I could run Venezuela? I couldn't run to Florida. I couldn't run the city that I live in, and it's a little city. I was a bus driver. There's no expertise. He was propped up. Cuba propped this guy up. It's all about Cuba. People better open up their eyeballs because they got Hezbollah in Cuba. They had Russia and Cuba, China and Cuba.
See, and what I've been talking about today and over the weekend is how Russia, China, and Iran, they've been and Cuba
all of it
have been disrupting the United States through these South American countries with the land invasion, with the southern border, the drugs, everything else that goes along. And Trump's putting a stop to all of it.
All of it. All because John Fitzgerald Kennedy, who all Democrats look up to this guy, screwed up.
That's right.
And that's the reason. Because all these years we haven't been able to deal with Cuba because people have to ask themselves, why didn't we go into Cuba and eliminate Castro? We couldn't. We even tried to hire the CIA tried to hire the mafia to kill the guy. It's a total disaster. Cuba has been the thorn in the side of this country for all these years, and they still got time on that agreement. So what are we going to do? We've already lost. We lost Venezuela. We lost basically Colombia. We've lost South America. That because of Cuba, and they better wise up. Cuba's got to be cut off.
All right, I gotta run, Richie. But you remember we'll talk to you later. If you're on hold, stand by. I'm Brian. It's the Brian Craig Show. Welcome everyone. This is where MAGA comes to talk. We'll be right back. On the line we have Gina. She's a client of Jupiter Joe Thomas. Gina, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Brian?
I'm doing great, thanks. So you went and met with Joe Thomas about annuities. Can you tell me about your experience?
I can't say enough good things about my experience with Joe Thomas. He's a straight shooter. He tells it like it is. He talks in plain language so that you know, because I didn't know anything about this stuff when I retired. So I walked into his office, and immediately I felt comfortable. And I said, look, I know nothing about this. I don't want to lose my shirt. So please guide me in the right direction so that I'll be set. And he sure did. And I'm very happy that I went there. And I even got my mother to join, too. Now I feel comfortable that I'm set, and I don't have to worry about running out of money.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than running out of money before you run out of life, right?
Exactly.
Give Jupiter Joe Thomas a call and schedule your no-charge consultation. His number is 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999 and online, jupiterjoe.com. All right, Gina, thanks so much.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, and guys, if you'd like to support all of my content that I bring you, the radio show, podcast, my YouTube channel, go to mypillow.com. Use my promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. And not only are you supporting me with the promo code Kane, but the next governor of Minnesota. Tim Walz has a big announcement today, whether he's going to resign as governor or drop out of the governor's race. The path is looking pretty good for Mike Lindell to become governor of Minnesota. And you can use my promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, on all the specials at mypillow.com. That's Kane at checkout at mypillow.com. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once, twice. All right, you missed your chance. If you're on hold, stand by. Got a couple things I want to share with you. Since we were talking about the oil. Oh, let me pull this up. Hold on, guys. Call us on hold. You stand by. And if you'd like to call in, the number's pinned in the live stream. There's a lot to do with oil, right? Because Venezuela has a lot of oil. It's not being properly exploited because of the infrastructure down there, but they're an OPEC nation. The United States is the number one producer of oil in the world. We have more oil than any other country in the world, including Saudi Arabia, but the liberals have kept us from profiting from it in the way we should, but President Trump has reversed that. And I saw this guy, he's a Canadian, he put this video out, he was talking about how the alliance with the United States and Venezuela in the oil business, how that's going to be devastating to the Canadian economy. Check this out.
Oddly enough, Maduro's capture this morning is going to have negative consequences for Canada, at least our Canadian economy, and no one's talking about this. Check this out. I called it this morning and I said good news and bad news. Good news for the end of a narco state. Bad news for the Canadian economy. Canadians have no idea what this means for our oil industry and our economy. a U.S.-friendly president will be installed. The U.S. will lift sanctions from Venezuela, and heavy crude oil will flow from Venezuela to the U.S. This means that Canada's primary customer for crude, the U.S., will now have cheaper options available. By Canada not pushing through with Keystone XL expansion to Asia and Europe, it will cost us dearly. Trump wanted Keystone XL. He mentioned it several times this year, and now he's got something bigger and better, the biggest oil reserves on Earth. This was the key leverage we had on Kuzma, the U.S. dependency on our oil. Now that that's gone, Carney took too long to negotiate. Trump likely realized that Canada will never supply the quantities of oil, gas the U.S. wants, needs, and instead he diversified. I know this is going to make Carney sweat. It's not good news for Canada's economy. We had a potential for a monopoly and we blew it.
Yeah. And, these liberal green lunatics that stop us from building refineries will build all the refineries in Venezuela now, right? That's exactly right. So this is amazing. OPEC's about to become irrelevant with the alliance of the oil powers of the United States and Venezuela together. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Oh, hey, Mike.
The Cuban community of Florida must be seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. They've been waiting for a while now for Cuba to fall.
Yep. Yeah, oh, yeah.
That community. And that's the thing. And here's the deal. I once thought that tanker that we took from Venezuela was going to China. No, I think that super tanker was headed to Cuba.
Well, China's in big trouble, too, because they have no oil of their own, and they've been getting oil from Venezuela for, free, too. So their whole economy is based on getting this free oil, like Cuba, from Venezuela. It's not going to happen. They basically, both China and Cuba have been ripping off the people of Venezuela and stealing their resources.
And that's right. And also, there is another country down there in South America that's an oil-rich country that's being ruled by a dictator, and that's Brazil. Mm-hmm. And one of Trump's biggest friends is Eduardo Bolsonaro, who's currently in jail in Brazil. And we know that he wants to go into Colombia, but I guarantee you he wants to go into Brazil and help one of his best friends, Bolsonaro.
Well, what's going to happen now is it's only a matter of time before Trump uses Venezuela as a launching pad against the cartels in Colombia and Mexico. He keeps talking. By the way, thanks for the call, Mike. President Trump keeps talking about Colombia, then Mexico every time he talks. This is the president on Air Force One back to D.C. from Mar-a-Lago last night.
Colombia is very sick, too, run by a sick man who likes making cocaine and selling it to the United States. And he's not going to be doing it very long, let me tell you.
What does that mean? He's not going to be doing it very long?
He's not doing it very long. He has cocaine mills and cocaine factories. He's not going to be doing it very long.
So there will be an operation by the U.S. and
it sounds
Rubio?
good to me.
Secretary Rubio mentioned.
You know why? Because they kill a lot of people. Colombia.
Yeah, hear that? Remember what Rubio said? That this is a president of action. He means what he says what he means, and when he says something, he's going to do it. This country has been under nonstop attack through Latin America by the biggest enemies. So, these liberals out there that are acting as if this is just some unprovoked move by President Trump. We have been under constant attack from our entire lives, from our biggest enemies in the world, through Latin America, through all these things we've been talking about. And President Trump is the first president of the United States to actually stand up and do something. And it's amazing. Even Ana Navarro was praising Trump for removing Maduro. Even Brennan was talking about what a flawless and great operation it was. So it's amazing. And by the way, the Hispanic vote for the Democrats is now forever gone. Okay? They got AOC, but that's about it. It's forever gone. This is such a big moment in Latin America and for Latin Americans. It really is. This is one of the greatest moments in Latin American history, the fall of Maduro and by the United States' actions, by President Trump. There's going to be a lot of kids down there named Donald, Marco, and Pete, right? They're going to start naming their kids after all of them. And Marco Rubio, this is Marco Rubio from Meet the Press. He was on the Sunday shows over the weekend just cleaning the clocks of all these overpaid host.
Okay, number one, most of the experts that people have on television, I watch these experts and it's clown hour. Okay, these are people that have focused their entire career on the Middle East or some other part of the world because that's where all the action was. Very few of them know anything about Venezuela or the Western Hemisphere. Venezuela looks nothing like Libya. It looks nothing like Iraq. It looks nothing like Afghanistan. It looks nothing like the Middle East other than the Iranian agents that are running through there plotting against America. Okay? These are Western countries with long traditions among their at a people-to-people and cultural level and ties to the United States. So there's nothing like that. So I think people need to stop ascribing the apples and oranges here, the apples of the Middle East to the oranges of the Western Hemisphere.
But do you...
Number two, this is about the national interest of the United States. And what I'm confident of is we are in a safer and better place because we're taking it seriously. The alternative would have been to leave Maduro there as an indicted the drug trafficker, illegitimate president, running the country, open invitation for all of our adversaries to do whatever they want against the United States from Venezuela. That was not going to continue. The alternative would have been to allow a drug trafficker to continue to use national territory and elements of nation-state power to further drug trafficking organizations. Read the indictment. This guy used the levers of their security apparatus not to arrest drug traffickers, but to cooperate and facilitate the trafficking of drugs for the purpose of getting them into the United States. And that's going to stop. Okay, number one.
Well, I mean, is Marco Rubio not the greatest Secretary of State we've ever had? You know, on my podcast yesterday afternoon, I asked this question, and I'm going to ask it to you. Can you think, other than Marco Rubio, who's doing all this America First activity throughout Latin America, can you think of any action that any other Secretary of State has taken that benefits the American people in the United States? I can't think of any. Can you? I can't think of a single one. And you know why? Because there aren't any examples. Not that I can think of. Now, if you have one, I'm very open to hear it. But I'm telling you this right here and right now. Marco Rubio, that man right there, is the greatest Secretary of State this country has ever had. I don't even know what these other Secretaries of State have been doing all my life. Right? I guess just setting themselves up for big book deals when they leave office and dealing with parts of the world, causing wars, basically. You know, the president talked about this over the weekend. The entire Western Hemisphere has been just allowed to run amok by this country for decades. And everything is in chaos. Well, I got news for you. It's no longer going to be in chaos. President Trump is putting everything together here. And this is part of the Make America Great Again agenda. You know, the Chinese are freaking out. And you know, there's all this talk about who's next. There's a lot of people around the world that are very worried, very nervous, including the president of Mexico, Sheinbaum. She's freaking out. But I'll tell you, you know who looked really nervous to me? Zelensky. Zelensky looks like he's afraid that Trump may remove him from power. And I would not be surprised. Now, if you'd like to support my content, become a Patreon supporter, guys. There's a link in the description of the video to my Patreon page. If you become a Patreon supporter, you get access to commercial-free editions of all of my podcast episodes. I have exclusive live streams available only to Patreon supporters that I do on the Patreon platform. It is a troll-free zone. Okay, it's only Patreon supporters in there. And my wife and I also post a lot of exclusive content that we post nowhere else. And, of course, when you become a Patreon supporter, you're supporting my program. And these are my top Patreon supporters that you're seeing on screen. Thank you so much. And, again, there's a link in the description of the video to my Patreon page, patreon.com/Real Brian Craig Show, patreon.com/Real Brian Craig Show. And when you do that, you're supporting all of the content that I bring to you, and it's greatly appreciated. All right, we got about 2 minutes until the radio show starts. This is the pre-show. And when we get back, when the radio show starts, I'll open up, I'll recap a little bit of the weekend events. I'm going to get into more on Greenland. If you're on hold, hang in there. We'll take more calls after the radio show begins. And if you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free and listed in the chat room. It's pinned in there. So I'm going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back. Ever wanted to grab a text from a screenshot and send it without having to log into a site or app that's plastered with ads? Free text from image.com keeps it simple. No sign-in, no faff. Drop a pic, copy the words. Try free text from image.com. You know that frustration. You're doing everything right, working harder, spending more time on your marketing. You're hiring good people too, and still you're stuck. What if the real problem isn't what you think it is? Did you know that most high achievers are stuck because they're solving the wrong problem? You can get unstuck. You just need the right help and guidance. And that's what you will find on Beyond Blind Blaming, the podcast hosted by Kevin D. St. Clergy. Kevin learned early that when you can't see the real issue, even your best efforts, they'll fail. Now he helps entrepreneurs, leaders, and high achievers uncover the hidden blind spots that are holding them back. Each episode of Beyond Blind Blaming breaks down real business and leadership challenges, profit issues, team problems, scaling struggles, and reveals what's actually getting in the way. On Beyond Blind Blaming, there's no hype, no blame, just actionable clarity. If you're ready to stop solving the wrong problems and start leading with purpose, add Beyond Blind Blaming with host Kevin D. St. Clergy to your podcast playlist right now on Spotify and Apple Podcast, and stop feeling stuck. All right, we have about 30 seconds till the radio show starts. If you're watching on the live stream with the green wall behind me, to see and hear all the audio and video that I play, go to my main stream here on the channel, and you can get access to that and be in that chat room. Stand by. Showtime. Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. And I know for a lot of people, this is the first day back in 2026. So welcome, and a lot has happened over the holidays and certainly over this weekend with Venezuela, and now the president is making a move to take Greenland. So we've got a lot to cover. I want to start, though, with the latest breaking, and then we'll get into Venezuela. If you're on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in, the number is toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. This Monday, January 5th, is the first full work week of 2026, and man, we got a lot to deal with here. So on the way back to Washington, D.C. from Mar-a-Lago last night, the president had one of those awesome press conferences in the doorway on Air Force One, and he made some big comments about Greenland.
I will say this about Greenland. We need Greenland from a national security situation. It's so strategic. Right now, Greenland is covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And Denmark is not going to be able to do it, I can tell you. You know what Denmark did recently to boost up security in Greenland? They added one more dog sled. It's true.
Sir,
they thought that was a great move.
What would the justification be for a claim to Greenland? What would the justification?
Oh, I don't want to talk about Greenland now. I just say this. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And the European Union needs us to have it. And they know that.
Okay. So, you know, what? Yeah. And remember, Marco Rubio said that when the president talks, he means it. And he's a man of action. So take him at his word. So we're going to take Greenland. We just took Venezuela, you know. And, of course, President Trump is using the Monroe Doctrine. And I know in school today they don't teach about the Monroe Doctrine. But when I was in school, even in college, we learned a lot about the Monroe Doctrine. And the Monroe Doctrine, I remember like in public school, in elementary, middle school, and high school, we learned about the Monroe Doctrine every year in school. And a lot of it had to do with that was the Cold War era, right? The 70s and the 80s when I was in school, and the Cold War, and it was about Soviet expansion is why they emphasized it so much. But the Monroe Doctrine, for those that don't know, because I don't think they teach that anymore, because it talks about American superiority and rights and dominance and all that. They don't want to teach that in school any longer. But President Monroe in the 1820s established as U.S. policy the Monroe Doctrine. And at the time, Spain and France, but mostly Spain, were still in the early 1800s colonizing the New World. And President Monroe established the Monroe Doctrine that's been U.S. policy for over 200 years. And the Monroe Doctrine said that no foreign influence will be tolerated or allowed by the United States in the Western Hemisphere. And what's been going on from Greenland in the north all the way south to the southern tip of South America and Chile, the biggest enemies the United States have not only been colonizing these countries and pushing them around, but they've been using all of these countries to undermine and disrupt the United States. And they've been very effective by it, with it, right? When the caravans were coming, and we were talking a lot about the caravans invading our southern border, I talked a lot about, how is this happening? This is a large movement of people. There's some type of organization and supply chain along the way, right? With military precision. And we know our biggest enemies, China, Russia, Cuba, Iran, and the Islamic terrorist organizations have been using Venezuela, but other countries down there too, but mainly Venezuela, to cause all kinds of disruption in this country. One, we've had for many, many years a massive land invasion from Venezuela through our southern border in Mexico. Massive land invasion. There's been a major crime wave and the drugs. And what has all that done? It's weakened us so that these other countries were strengthened. A weaker United States allows China and Russia and Iran to do their business, right? To expand and cause havoc. And this attack on our country that they've been doing through Venezuela has been an incredible strain on our resources, our justice system, our whole legal system, our jails, our local municipalities, our healthcare system. All these things have been overwhelmed by both the drugs that they've been importing and the massive amounts of people that they've been bringing up here illegally, invading the country. Plus, how many Americans have been killed because of them? President Trump says about 300,000 a year. Now, I don't know if that's from just the drugs, but look at all the people like Lincoln Riley who are dead because of this, right? How many Americans have been killed because of all of this? Not just the Trinde and MS-13 killing people, but people that have been victimized of some drug addict using some of these drugs that are coming here who commits a crime so they can get some money for drugs, right? I mean, the number of people that have been killed because of Russia, Iran, and China manipulating these Latin American countries, I don't know if you could actually put a number on it. We have at least 10 9/11s every year for decades because of this, all right? And President Trump's saying no more. And he's using the Monroe Doctrine. And when he talked about Greenland on Air Force One last night again, hasn't talked about Greenland in a while, he's as serious as a heart attack about taking Greenland because Russia and China are doing all kinds of activity around Greenland to spy on Europe, spy on us, and God only knows what else they're doing. So President Trump, it's an amazing thing. They talk about presidents in their second term, that they get involved in foreign policy. Everything he's doing here with Venezuela, what he's talking about with Greenland, this is the most American first moves I've ever seen a president of the United States do. And for those that are out there saying, so he can just go in and invade a country unprovoked, we've been under nonstop attack with a literal invasion from Venezuela for years. So we're going to cover all of this on the program today. If you're on hold, you stand by. And, of course, we're going to take your calls as well on all of this. We have so much to cover. I want to talk about Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing, he's absolutely amazing. He is a good MAGA guy. He will never sell you a roof you do not need, which means if you need just a simple repair, he will do it. He works with any type of roofing material on any type of structure, and he can handle a job of any size, whether it's one home, one condo building, one apartment building, one office building, or an HOA that has over 450 units in it. He can handle a job of any size. He covers both the east and west coast of Florida and everywhere in between. And also, Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing is more than just a roofer. He is a general contractor, which means under Florida law, he's allowed to deal directly with your insurance company on the cost of the replacement or repair of your roof. Also, Laporta Roofing was voted best roofing company in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, which is amazing. Fort Lauderdale, which is ground zero for Hurricane Alley, has more roofers per capita probably than any other city in the world. And to be voted the best roofing company in a town like Fort Lauderdale with so many roofers, wow, that says a lot. And I've seen the work he's done, not just on Steve Kane's house, but many of our listeners. Give Tom Laporta a call or text. This number rings directly to Tom's cell phone, 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. That's 954-604-4602. And online, LaportaRoofing.com. Call us on hold, stand by. We'll take our first break of the week and be right back. If you're on hold, stand by, guys, okay? We will get to the calls shortly.
Hello, this is Mike at Friendly Tire. I've been in business 30 years at the same location and offering great deals on new and used tires. I have many suppliers. Whatever car or truck you have, I can get you incredible deals on any tire. I also do tire repairs at very low prices. Give me a call. My number is 954-977-9445. I will give you a price over the phone on new and used tires. Again, my number is 954-977-9445. Thank you.
Do mealtimes feel more stressful than satisfying in your home? You're not alone. Between busy schedules, picky eaters, and rising grocery costs, eating healthy can't feel impossible. That's why Dennis Heikkinen wrote the family-friendly Healthy Eating Cookbook, available on Amazon. This practical, easy-to-use cookbook is packed with over 100 simple, nutritious, kid-approved recipes designed for real families and real life. Every meal is easy to prepare, budget-friendly, and made to help your whole family enjoy breakfast, lunch, dinner, and even snacks without spending hours in the kitchen. Whether you're a busy parent, a beginner cook, or just trying to build healthier habits at home, the family-friendly Healthy Eating Cookbook gives you the confidence to cook with ease and bring joy back to your life. Order your copy right now on Amazon and Kindle, paperback, and free with Kindle Unlimited. The family-friendly Healthy Eating Cookbook on Amazon. All right, now we'll be back in a couple minutes. If you're on hold, stand by. I wanted to play this clip. This is the president. He's talking about the fraud in Somalia. We got a big press conference announcement from Tim Walz. It's being reported he's going to drop out of the governor's race. We don't know if he's going to resign as governor, but it's being reported by multiple sources he's expected to drop out of the governer's race.
One thing we haven't heard you specifically react to is the Minnesota fraud that we've seen play out.
Well, it just doesn't get worse. I've reacted. It's almost not even believable. This very stupid, low IQ governor, he's a very stupid man, because, I had a campaign against him with JD, and he's a stupid man, and he's a corrupt politician, and the Somalians are ripping off our country to the tune of, looks like $19 billion, but that's only what they can find. So usually when you look at it 19, that would mean it could be 50, but the numbers are astronomical. Think of it. They have a dead country. They don't have government. They don't have anything. They don't have a military. All they do is run around shooting people and trying to capture ships. We don't let them take ships anymore. You know why? We use the same exact missile on them that we use on the drug carriers. And it's very effective. You notice there's nobody capturing ships anymore? Because as they
Pirates.
head out to go capture the ship, and the ship doesn't want to fire back because it's very flammable stuff in many cases. And the insurance companies don't want, because they built $1 billion ship, and they don't want anybody firing rockets into the ship. But we're hitting them so hard, and it's very similar. Same missile system. It's called deadly accurate. And do you notice that ships aren't being taken anymore? The pirates are.
That's right. I hadn't thought about
The pirates aren't. Well,
No Somali birds.
It's actually very easy. They head out. We say, guess what? There's pirates. Bing. That's the end of the pirates.
Boom. There you go. Oh, wow. Yeah, but now they're the pirates of Minnesota, the Somalis, right? Okay, stand by. We're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. Doc from Texas.
Hey, Texas. What's on your mind?
Hey, man. You all right this morning?
I'm great, yeah.
Okay. Hey, look. I just wanted to say this. Okay. Is all the big oil companies going back down to Venezuela?
All? I don't know. President Trump said on Saturday that a lot of American oil companies owned property that was stolen by Chavez, and they're going to go back and get their property back.
Okay,
yeah.
here's the deal.
And some of them will be American oil companies, absolutely. Yeah, sure.
If they go back down there, I think Trump needs to get the American military to go down there and protect these people, because you sending them down into hostile territory, and he needs to send the military. Don't let the oil companies pay. Send the military down there and protect them, because it's going to be a bad deal down there.
Well, it's amazing. This action that President Trump has taken to liberate Venezuela. You've been red-pilled and you don't even know it, because on Saturday.
No.
Yeah, listen. On Saturday, when President Trump had his press conference with Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth and General Raisin Kane, he said he's going to do what you just suggested. There'll be a permanent U.S. military presence around the oil of Venezuela and the facilities. So that's awesome. You've been red-pilled.
No, I haven't.
He's doing what you're suggesting. You're agreeing with Trump.
No, I don't.
Yeah, he's doing what you just said he should do.
No, another thing, too. He's going to go back down to Mexico and Greenland. What makes you think these people are going to say, yeah, you could have our country? These people are going to fight him every which way. Brian, he has so much problems to tend to the United States. Leave those countries alone.
Don't you understand? This is about the United States. They've been attacking and invading our country for decades.
Brian, leave those countries alone. If he wants to do anything, put people on the border to where he can stop
on the border.
All the drugs.
So, do you understand that Mexico is not a free country? Do you know who runs Mexico?
I know the cartels running, Brian. I'm not stupid.
So we're not going to invade Mexico, but he's going to take out the cartels.
And cartels are going to let him take them out, and he's going.
No, they don't let you. War. These cartels don't have the ability to stop us from doing anything, because we have overwhelming military technology and superiority.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. And he's going to go do it, and they're going to come back and hurt some Americans.
No, they're not. They're all going to be dead. They're going to be dead.
No, they're not. They don't know. You think the cartel...
Don't you understand? They're already hurting Americans. Over 300,000 Americans are killed each year from these Latin American countries' attacks on us. 10 9/11s every year.
Brian, these people are going to. He needs to. If he wants to do anything, he's so say the border is the border. Nobody's crossing the border. Leave Mexico alone. And just worry about the United States. We got so many problems.
Are you that? Are you? Let me ask you. I ask this callers sometimes.
Do not call me stupid.
Are you? Stupid. Wow, I wasn't. Okay, don't worry. Are you pulling my leg? Are you pulling my leg, or are you being serious? You don't understand that the drugs coming from the cartels in this country, as well as the invasion through the border, is an attack on this country.
You don't think I know what drugs does to a family?
So you want to allow them to continue? You want to let the drug cartels get away with it?
No. But the problem is, drugs are not only coming from Mexico; they're coming from all over, Brian. And he can't stop that. That's $1 billion.
No, in fact, President Trump said on Saturday that illegal drug importation in the United States by sea is now down 97%.
please, Ryan, please.
It's true.
Just
Because he's blowing the boats out of the water.
Please, Ryan. I don't believe nothing Trump says. Please.
How do you feel about the liberation of Venezuela?
Really, Ryan? He didn't eliminate. All he did was what kind of charge he got against Maduro? What kind of charges? He has no charges.
Yeah, him and his wife both have indictments in New York for multiple charges, including drug trafficking. He's the leader of a drug cartel.
So why did he pardon a drug trafficker? Why didn't he pardon a drug trafficker?
The former president of Honduras, he talked about this on Saturday too. See, if you would listen to, he talked about. Excuse me, I'm answering your question. He talked about this on Saturday. A reporter asked him about the pardon of the Honduran former president, and he said the ruling party wanted him pardoned. I gave him a pardon, and now they're our ally. So Honduras, President Trump has put together, President Trump has put together this Latin American alliance. It's the United States with Honduras, El Salvador, Argentina, Chile, and of course now the latest addition is Venezuela.
Please, Ryan, and all that, Trump is lying. Y'all believe anything. If Trump said the sun is out and it's pouring down rain, and y'all believe it.
What's he lying about? What's he lying about?
Because he's lying about everything.
What's his biggest lie involving this?
Trump is making big because he's going after the oil, Brian. He's not going there. He doesn't care about drugs. He's going.
Part of it is the oil because the oil the oil from Venezuela is being used to fuel two of our biggest enemies, China and Cuba. So yes, some of it has to do with oil. Absolutely.
Cuba's not our enemy. Cuba, you know what you talking about? That he's going after the oil because
Cuba has been running Venezuela. Cuba's been running Venezuela, and it's been Cuba that's been organizing the drug trafficking and the border invasion and everything else into our country from the southern border.
Please, drugs still gonna come into this country because they're gonna get it in here one way or another.
Oh, so we shouldn't do anything. So we shouldn't try at all.
No, we should do something. We should.
Well, President Trump is doing more than something. He's doing a lot.
He's not doing nothing. He all he's doing is patting his pockets, bro.
He's making money off the drugs? Is that what you're suggesting? Get off the phone. It's just all right. Oh my goodness. See what Trump derangement syndrome does? That's a mind suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. Now, Cuba, which has been getting free oil. This is the president on Air Force One with Lindsey Graham last night on the way back to Washington from Mar-a-Lago.
Could have done it, and as to this commander-in-chief, he did something people talked about doing. You just wait for Cuba. Cuba is a communist dictatorship that's killed priests and nuns. They've preyed on their own people. Their days are numbered. We're going to wake up one day, I hope in 26, in our backyard, we're going to have allies in these countries doing business with America, not narco-terrorist dictators killing Americans. This is a big frigging day. And everybody in the world is thinking differently than they were just a few days ago because of what you did.
Okay, that is Lindsey Graham. So, Cuba has been getting free oil from Venezuela for years. I mean, I don't know exactly how long, but for years and years. And now that has been cut off. So the question is, how long can Cuba hold out? How long can Cuba hold out? Yeah, good question, huh? I would say not long. They're not going to have enough to power the power plant in Havana because the oil is being cut off. Cuba is going to fall under President Trump. And these are all good and positive things. And those of you on the left, do you hear yourself? Do you hear what you're saying? It's so bizarre. All right, if you're on hold, stand by. Our number is toll-free, 888-465-2631. You may have heard Tim Walz is having a press conference today. He's expected to drop out of the run for governor in Minnesota, paving the way for the inventor of the MyPillow, Mike Lindell. Guys, go to MyPillow.com. Use our promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E, for huge savings. There's a massive New Year's special. And of course, when you use our promo code Kane at checkout, you're supporting this program and everything, but you're also supporting the next governor of Minnesota, Mike Lindell. You can get the 6-piece MyPillow towel set for less than $50. The 100% Giza cotton MyPillow dream sheets, multiple sizes, multiple colors. They fit every size mattress for less than $30. You can get the premium MyPillow for less than $25. You can use our promo code on all the specials at mypillow.com. That's KANE at checkout. All right, we're going to take our break for the bottom of the hour. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. If you're on hold, don't go anywhere. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll free, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll be right back. All right, and we're back. I'm Brian. It's time to check in with George Colony. George, good morning.
Good morning, Brian. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well. You know, I've been hearing very good things from our listeners about you, so that's always good to hear. Absolutely. You know, I wanted to talk to you today about something pretty specific because, you know, this is a great time and the right time and the perfect time for people to list their home for sale. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. You know, if you think back and you look at the date today, 3 months ago was 9/11. Think how fast that time went. In the same time, if you look forward until February, March, when the president gets to change the Fed chair, interest rates come down, the economy is going to boom, the confidence is going to be very, very just thriving, and we're sitting in a period of time that if we're going to want to sell our home, there are a lot of people coming from the north and they want to buy. As long as we're realistic, we can make this happen, and it's a good time. But think about it. It's not only selling your home, it's what are the prices today and the opportunities today. If we are able to negotiate good deals for you to move into your next home, you're going to get a great deal on your next home. So it is a phenomenal time to consider this, and I hope your people give me a call. I've been talking to a lot of your listeners, and very interesting. They're smart, I can tell you that. This evening, I'm having dinner with 6 people, influential people, that are coming here because we're going to try to buy these buildings that are currently rentals and convert them so people can own the unit rather than rent it. If you think about it, when you pay rent, you get your paycheck, and then you pay your rent after you've paid taxes. When you own, you're actually paying your payment on your home prior to the fact that they take taxes out of you. So you're really getting the government to share in your cost because of the deductibility of home ownership. If people are out there thinking about selling their home right now, give me a call. I'm telling you something. It can be life-changing for you. And, you know, the people I've talked to and the reaction I'm getting from your show is phenomenal. So I appreciate what you've done.
Well, I tell you, and I really have been hearing very good things from our listeners, and that's good to hear. And, you know, with George Colony, what you're talking about here, see, this is what you get when you're working with George Colony. You're not just thinking about, okay, let me get this listing and sell your home. You're already thinking ahead about the next home, because when you sell your home, you need a place to live. So you're already to that second step. It's basically what you're telling us, George Colony. It's the perfect storm of opportunity to list and sell your home for good money to these northerners that are coming down, but also get yourself into your next home because you need a place to move to.
Without sounding egotistical, I got 63 years of business, and my forte would be negotiating. So the thing that I can do today for you is I can negotiate a really good opportunity for you to sell and an opportunity for you to buy. And that's not egotistical. It's just how it is. Mm-hmm. I love doing what I do, and I'm so glad that I got involved with Brian.
Okay, well, listen, give George Colony a call. Remember, this number rings directly to George. You can call or text. His number is 954-801-7320. 954-801-7320. That's 954-801-7320. All right, we'll be back shortly, guys, in seconds. If you're on hold, stand by. The number, if you want to call in, is pinned in the live stream. All right, we're back. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show, talking about the incredible events over the weekend. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air once, twice, 3 times. You missed your chance. All right, sorry about that. Yeah, got to stand by. The rest of you on hold, stand by. This is the president talking about the Monroe Doctrine.
It's about peace on earth.
How is it peace on earth?
Peace on earth. We got to have peace. It's our hemisphere. The Monroe Doctrine was very important when it was done, and other presidents, a lot of them, they lost sight of it. Right. I didn't lose sight. But it really is. It's peace on earth.
Yeah, exactly. With these nonstop attacks on our country that are being ended. And, you know, one of the things that I think was really shown with this quick move inside Venezuela. I mean, let's say it like it is. Venezuela has fallen. The president of Venezuela is not this former vice president that they swore in. The president of Venezuela is Marco Rubio, who President Trump put in charge of Venezuela. The government that's there is a puppet government that's just in place so we can keep the lights on, okay, while we settle in and plug some new people in there. The Venezuela, and this is a word a lot of people may not like, but I'm going to, and this is not a bad thing. We've conquered it. One of the things that President Trump has shown with this is how powerful the United States military is and how quickly a war can be fought and won. And, you know, these other wars we've been in, all of them since the Second World War, they could have ended like this. But the military-industrial complex had so much influence and owned all our past presidents, they didn't want any of these wars to end. And, you know, I talked a lot over the weekend, doing shows over the weekend about this. If President Trump, I want you to think about this, and if you disagree, I can't imagine. I'd like to hear an explanation. If 9/11 happened when Donald Trump was president, do you think that bin Laden would have been running around for years and years and years? If Donald Trump was president on 9/11, Osama bin Laden would have been captured or killed by September 15th, as well as the senior al-Qaeda leadership. And then the Taliban would have been put on notice after that. Same goes with Operation Iraqi Freedom with George W. Bush. We had that long insurgency. We didn't get Saddam for months. We would have had Saddam Hussein, if Donald Trump was president, in one of his palaces around Iraq in a day or two, maybe even less, just like this. You know, you got to think about it. You know, Venezuela, they have naval forces, air forces, an army, and anti-aircraft. And then we find out that Maduro was living on a military base. Not only did we get him, we didn't lose any American lives. There were some injuries, which they haven't been specific on, but we didn't lose any American lives or American equipment. And we got him within 2 hours of the action happening. This is amazing. That's how powerful and advanced our military is. And what I realized on Saturday morning, and maybe you did or didn't, I don't know, you can let me know, but not only do we have overwhelming military force in every area of the military, but our technology is literally light years ahead of all the other militaries of the world. And what I mean by that is, if you watch the full press conference with the president on Saturday, it was the president, Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth, and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Raisin King. And we were able to knock out the electricity there before we even went in with some new technology that nobody knows about. Some people may say, oh, it was this or that. You don't know what you're talking about. You're just making crap up, because we were able to knock out the electricity without damaging people's cell phones and everything, because they were filming it on their phones, or knocking out our own electricity of our equipment going in. So it wasn't your standard EMP, whatever they call those things, devices. There's some new technology. The rest of the world's military, technologically, and this isn't just Venezuela, this goes for Russia and China as well. The rest of the world's military, technologically, is 40 or 50 years, maybe even more, behind our military. The military, and this is, again, not just Venezuela. I'm talking about China and Russia. These other militaries around the world, they're freaking out right now, these leaders. Their technology is like 1970s, 1980s technology. We have technology that's like 2050. We're in 2026, but our technology is at about 2050. But see, the other presidents didn't want these in and out wars. They wanted to prolong the wars to feed their donors in the military-industrial complex. And the United States has the ability, when we're dealing with these third-rate countries and leaders, to get in, get out, and win wars in just a couple of hours, like we did here in Venezuela. It is absolutely amazing. And when I talk about our superiority technologically with our military forces, look at Putin. What a clown show over there. How many years has this most recent war? They took Crimea when Obama was president, but this most recent war has been going on for what, 4 years? How long? And Putin can't make a move? Putin, Zelensky, China, Sheinbaum, that lady lunatic president of Mexico who works for the cartels, they're all terrified right now because they're afraid Trump's going to nab them too. Right? Yeah. And you know what? He might. Russia is no threat to this country. They may think they are. They can't even take down Ukraine. Look how fast we went in. Boom. And we can do the same over there too. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello?
Oh, boy. Yeah. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I just wanted to challenge you on one point about the American, like being the top with war and all that. I don't know. I could disagree with that respectfully because we've been giving so much resources to different countries. So who's to say what the public doesn't know? You know,
we don't give them our top stuff. We give them our old dated stuff.
How do you know that? How do you know that?
Because it would be stupid to do so. No one has the abilities that we do. And when we give them our old excuse me, with our closest allies, when we give them our old and outdated stuff, it's still more advanced than their opponent. It could be England, it could be Canada, it could be Israel.
Okay.
Yeah, your favorite country, Israel. I'm sure you don't like us giving anything to them.
Why you say that?
I can just tell by your tone. All right, take care. Appreciate the call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
David, West Virginia.
Hey, David. What's up?
Hey, man, I was just thinking, I think what Trump has done is awesome. It's fantastic. This is how America was. A lot of these people, especially the younger kids, they've never seen what America is supposed to be. They don't understand this. We are a world power. We always have been. Mm-hmm. We've just never had any leaders to utilize it.
Correct.
So, you get these kids that were born in the 90s and 2000s, they've never seen what America is about. So, and then they've been brainwashed by all this media, But I think they're starting to see, hey, this is America. This is what we're about. If we want to take Venezuela, we're going to take it.
But we did. We took Venezuela. We took Venezuela.
Yeah. It's ours exactly. Now. In 8 hours, it's amazing.
About 2 hours.
I love it.
Oh.
Or 2 hours, yeah. Yeah, so it's great. And, we'll take Cuba. Cuba, if we want it, we'll take it because we're America. And that's what we're not a defending. We're not on defense. We're on offense. We're carrying the ball.
Well, it's defense in the way that these countries have been attacking us for decades through all the things we've been talking about, drugs, the border issue. These have all been attacks and invasions on the country that they've all been involved in. But Cuba, their oil is now 100% cut off. Right? They've already in Cuba, they only put the electricity on a couple hours a day, and that's in Havana, the capital. So how are they going to power anything in Cuba with Venezuelan oil cut off? How long can they last? How much reserve do they have in their country? Not much.
Exactly. I don't think they'll last probably not even a month.
Well, I don't know what I know the longest we've had here in South Florida with hurricanes that I've lived through, where there's been power issues and gas shortages, is 2 weeks. And it gets really hairy. Yeah. It gets really hairy even here when you don't have power or easy access to gasoline for a few days. Things start to fall apart real quick. And Cuba has no reserves. They have no ability to weather this. They're going to fall, and they're going to fall soon. It could be in weeks. It could be in a month. It could be in 6 months. We don't know, but it's just a matter of when.
Right. Yes, sir. Exactly. But, I just wanted to call and kind of give you that, talk to you about that.
Well, I appreciate it. West Virginia, take care. Good to hear from you.
Yes, thanks, Brian. Keep it up, brother. You're awesome.
All right, take care. If you're on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. I want to talk about Friendly Tire in Margate. Start the year off right with safe tires on your car. At Friendly Tire in Margate, you can get all the name brands you know and love, Pirelli's, Firestone, Bridgestone, whatever you like. You can get new tires out the door and on the road for as low as $75 a tire, because Friendly Mike does not charge you to balance the tire, mount your tire, or dispose of your old tires. And by the way, that is low as $75 out the door and on the road for new tires. That's on common sizes on some of the most popular vehicles on the road today. He has good used tires in stock for as low as $35 a tire. Same thing, out the door and on the road. He also does tire repairs. Give Friendly Mike a call. He'll give you a quote right over the phone. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445 for Friendly Tire in Margate. We'll be right back. All right, we're clear. We're in radio break now, so if you're on hold, hang in there. If you want to call in, the number's pinned in the live stream. Here's the president again on Air Force One.
Cuba is ready to fall.
Yes.
Cuba looks like it's ready to fall. I don't know if they're going to hold out. But Cuba now has no income. They got all of their income from Venezuela. From the Venezuelan oil. They're not getting any of it. And Cuba literally is ready to fall. And you have a lot of great Cuban Americans that are going to be very happy about this.
Are you considering U.S. action in Cuba?
We're not. I think it's just going to fall. I don't think we need any action. It looks like it's going down. It's going down for the count. You ever watch a fight?
Yeah.
They go down for the count. And Cuba looks like it's going down. Cuba.
Boy, these reporters, the idea of the fall of Cuba has them freaked out, because these leftists, Cuba is their last best hope for communism. Okay, we're going to be back in less than 2 minutes. This is just absolutely astounding. If you're new to my channel, my name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. We're in a radio station break right now. Make sure you subscribe, and if you want to call in, the number is toll-free, pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631. If you're watching on the live stream with the green wall behind me, to see and hear all the audio that I play and video, you got to go to my main live stream on YouTube. So just go to my channel, you'll see the main live stream, and you get the whole green screen effect, and you can see and hear all the video and audio that I share, and there's a chat room there as well that you can join. What would you guys, give it a number, how long will Cuba be able to last without falling with the Venezuelan oil cutoff? What would you think? How long? How long do they have? A month? 6 months, a year, 2 weeks. You know, they don't have any reserves because the flow's been slowed down a little bit from the tankers that President Trump has stopped. So they're already behind, and they cannot have any reserves, right? Whatever they have is already out there. Okay, we have less than 30 seconds. Stand by, guys. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll go to the calls in a moment. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. If you're on hold, stand by. Here's the president on Air Force One last night on the way back to D.C. from Florida talking about Cuba.
Cuba is ready to fall. You know? Yes. Cuba looks like it's ready to fall. I don't know if they're going to hold out. But Cuba now has no income. They got all of their income from Venezuela, from the Venezuelan oil. They're not getting any of it. And Cuba literally is ready to fall. And you have a lot of great Cuban Americans that are going to be very happy about this.
Are you considering U.S. action in Cuba?
We're not. I think it's just going to fall. I don't think we need any action. It looks like it's going down. It's going down for the count. You ever watch a fight?
I have.
They go down for the count. And Cuba looks like it's going down. Cuba.
So how long would you give Cuba before they fall with the Venezuelan oil cut off? They need the oil not just to power their cars and their military, but the electricity and their power plants. And while they may only have electricity on a few minutes a day or a few days a week in some areas, where the government leaders live, where the big money people live, in Havana and everything, they need the electricity on, especially at night. So will it be a week, a month, 6 months, a year? How long would you give Cuba without the Venezuelan oil until they fall? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? All right, we'll try you. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? All right, this is the liberal response. I'll try a couple more. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Bill, Louisiana.
All right, Louisiana. What's on your mind?
Well, we always heard about the.
Can you turn down the volume? Can you turn down? Excuse me. Turn down the volume of whatever device you're listening to me on in the background. Okay. Yes.
You always heard about the communist countries over in the Mid Far East following domino effect.
Yep. One second here. I'll answer these other lines. Yep. The domino effect. Yep. Go ahead.
Okay. Cuba gets their oil from Venezuela. Well, Russia's getting a lot, because their infrastructure's just about been decimated.
Mm-hmm.
China's getting oil.
Not anymore.
Okay. Russia's economy is in the dirt, so is China's. What are they going to do? He's got, Venezuela, Cuba, Russia. Oh, did you hear about Khomeini defecting to Russia? The leader of Iran?
Mm-hmm, the Ayatollahs.
Okay, so Iran's gone, Cuba, Venezuela, China, and Russia are on the brink of collapse.
Yes.
Trump has settled the whole world.
Oh, yeah.
Period. He is God sent, and he's rid the world of the devil.
No doubt about
what it boils down to, because all those countries are nothing but pure evil.
Mm-hmm.
So we are so lucky to live at this time, and to have him for president is just unbelievable.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And we're thankful to have you too, Brian.
Well, I appreciate that. We've never had. Everybody props up Reagan and all that, and Reagan deserves some respect. However, he can't hold a candle to what Donald Trump's doing. He was focused on Europe and the Soviets.
Look at the Bushes. They were a pile of dog crap also.
Well, no doubt about it. I'm not going to disagree with you there. That's true.
I tell you what, we just so far. It's like they said, if he hadn't been elected, he'd already be in prison and probably dead.
Yeah, well, they tried.
They
tried in Butler. Hey, listen, I appreciate the call. Keep in mind, everything President Trump's doing, they shot him in Butler to try to stop him from doing it. He's not messing around. I mean, have you ever seen a president work so hard during the holidays? Nope. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
You're a self-centered piece of shit.
Okay, there we go. Well, hey, at least somebody's thinking about me. All right, if you're on hold, stand by. Here's the president talking about Minnesota and Tim Walz.
One thing we haven't heard you specifically react to is the Minnesota fraud that we've seen play out.
Well, it just doesn't get worse. I've reacted. It's almost not even believable. This very stupid, low IQ governor, he's a very stupid man because, I had a campaign against him with JD. And he's a stupid man, and he's a corrupt politician. And the Somalians are ripping off our country to the tune of, looks like $19 billion, but that's only what they can find. So usually when you look at it 19, that would mean it could be 50. But the numbers are astronomical. Think of it. They have a dead country. They don't have government. They don't have anything. They don't have a military. All they do is run around shooting people and trying to capture ships. We don't let them take ships anymore. You know why? We use the same exact missile on them that we use on the drug carriers. And it's very effective. You notice there's nobody capturing ships anymore? Because as they head out to go capture the ship, and the ship doesn't want to fire back because it's very flammable stuff in many cases. And the insurance companies don't want, because they build $1 billion ship, and they don't want anybody firing rockets into the ship. But we're hitting them so hard, and it's very similar. Same missile system. It's called deadly accurate. And do you notice that ships aren't being taken anymore? The pirates are. That's right. I thought about. The pirates aren't. Well, no Somali pirates. It's actually very easy. They head out. We say, guess what? There's pirates. That's the end of the pirates.
Yeah, but now, the Somali pirates are now in Minnesota. So Tim Walz has this press conference today that is really out of the blue, and it's being discussed that he's going to drop out of the race for governor, which of course will pave the way for the great Mike Lindell of My Pillow. But maybe he'll resign from governor. We get lucky. If he resigned from governor, who would take over? That hijab-wearing lieutenant governor lady of his? Oh my goodness, what a lunatic she is. But it's being reported in multiple sources that he's going to drop out of the mayor's race. And that's all Nick Shirley's doing. Isn't that amazing? This has been the Christmas and New Year's holiday week. Those 2 weeks are usually the slowest news week of the year. These last 2 weeks have been the busiest, news-wise, not just in past holidays, but 2 of the busiest news weeks of the past several years. It's amazing what happened. And, I woke up really, really early Saturday morning. I got up at 1, 2 in the morning, and I pick up my phone like I do everybody else, and I immediately go to X, and then I see that there's this military action going on in Venezuela. I couldn't believe it, and because they kept it a secret. So there's all this talk that they didn't inform Congress. You can't inform Congress. Yeah, they would have leaked it out like no one's business. That's why when President Trump took out Soleimani, he didn't brief Congress, because the squad would have told their friends in the Muslim Brotherhood, and that would have been it. This mission would not have been successful if they would have told anyone that it was coming. They did what they had to do. All right, now if you're on hold, don't go anywhere. We're going to take more of your calls as the show goes on. If you'd like to call in, the number is toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. I want to talk about Tom Laporta and Laporta Roofing. Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing, they do every type of job that there is, residential, commercial, and municipal. If you have an HOA, whether it's for your home or a condo community, give them a call. Tom Laporta has a special skill set dealing with HOAs that's absolutely amazing. But he also works with every type of roofing material there is. He covers both the east and west coast of Florida and everywhere in between, and also can handle a job of any size. If you have a unit with over 450 units in it, he can handle that, or a single-family home or a single office building, everything in between. No job is too big. And he'll never sell you a roof you do not need. And I've talked to so many of our listeners who are shocked to find that they don't need new roofs when Tom Laporta comes out, that they just need a simple repair. If you need just a simple repair, he will do it. This number rings directly to Tom Laporta's cell phone. You can call or text 954-604-4602, 954-604-4602. And online, LaportaRoofing.com. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm Zen Nelson, calling from Missouri.
All right, Missouri.
Yeah.
There we go.
Well, I just noticed that you don't have a lot of people calling in. That
No, I have a lot of people calling in.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not finished. I meant you don't have a lot of people calling in that are opposed to your ideas, and I'm a dirtbag socialist, so
a socialist.
I was calling in. Yeah, fully socialist here.
Okay.
Leftist.
What am I supposed to do?
way.
Interview you?
I mean, if you want, but I think that I don't agree with a lot of what you have to say.
Well, pick the biggest thing you disagree with me on that you've heard me say.
Okay, I disagree with Trump should be able to act without Congress's approval. I just saw you say that.
Without Congress's approval? When is the last time Congress declared war with all the military actions this country has been in? Do you know?
Not since World War II.
Correct. So, So there you go. You don't need congressional approval to go arrest someone.
Yeah, well, so it's unlawful, though.
No, it's not unlawful. A socialist. Do you live with your mom and dad still?
I'm actually joining the United States Marine Corps.
A socialist in the United States Marine Corps? Make sure you tell the recruiter that you're a socialist. Please tell the recruiter that you're a socialist before you sign up, okay? Yeah, make sure you tell him, because you know what? Pete Hegseth, I don't think one socialist in the United States Marine Corps. We'll be right back. What do you think would happen if he told the recruiter he was a socialist? Do you think they'd take him? Would they take him in the Marines if he told them he was a socialist? Here's a Venezuelan girl talking about what happened.
Didn't Venezuelans just fight back if they hated the government because the government took their guns back in 2012? Let that be a lesson to you. Venezuelans have literally been fighting back with sticks and stones while the government and the military just mows them down with their guns and runs them over with tanks.
Exactly. Yeah. Tyrants. If you're on hold, stand by. We're in break now on the radio. I'll go back to the phones when we get back from the break, guys. All right? Stay tuned. Ever wanted to grab a text from a screenshot and send it without having to log into a site or app that's plastered with ads? Free text from image.com keeps it simple. No sign-in, no faff. Drop a pic, copy the words. Try free text from image.com. Do mealtimes feel more stressful than satisfying in your home? You're not alone. Between busy schedules, picky eaters, and rising grocery costs, eating healthy can't feel impossible. That's why Dennis Heikkinen wrote the family-friendly Healthy Eating Cookbook, available on Amazon. This practical, easy-to-use cookbook is packed with over 100 simple, nutritious, kid-approved recipes designed for real families and real life. Every meal is easy to prepare, budget-friendly, and made to help your whole family enjoy breakfast, lunch, dinner, and even snacks without spending hours in the kitchen. Whether you're a busy parent, a beginner cook, or just trying to build healthier habits at home, the family-friendly Healthy Eating Cookbook gives you the confidence to cook with ease and bring joy back to your life. Order your copy right now on Amazon and Kindle, paperback, and free with Kindle Unlimited. The family-friendly Healthy Eating Cookbook on Amazon. All right, we'll be back in about 90 seconds. And if you're on hold, stand by. There's 2 openings on the board at 888-465-2631. Listen to this. This is CNN. Well, I don't have time to play this before we get back. I'll play this on the radio. I want to play that whole thing because it's very good. I got so many things I got to get to that I haven't gotten to yet. See, this is what's widely being reported, that Walz is going to drop out of the governor's race. Okay. About 30 seconds and we'll be back. Oh, if you're on hold, stand by. I'll go back to the phones when we get back from the break. Would they take a socialist in the Marines if you told them? If you said, I'm a socialist, would they take you or would that disqualify you? What do you guys think? All right, hour number 2 has begun. It's a new year, and oh boy, if you're just tuning in, you've missed a lot. We're talking about the liberation of Venezuela, the Monroe Doctrine. President Trump said on Air Force One that we need Greenland. Things are going well, and of course, we're getting lots of liberal meltdowns all over this country, and in some instances on our phone. There's 2 openings on the board right now. If you'd like to call in, the number is toll-free, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's being widely reported that Tim Walz is going to announce he's dropping out of the governor's race today, which is great. That'll pave the way for Mike Lindell to be the governor. You're on in the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once, twice. All right, you missed your chance. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Conservative Doug.
Hey, Doug. What's up?
This is fantastic.
Hold on, Doug. I got to answer these other lines. Hold on, yeah. All right, go ahead, Doug.
So, I say exactly what you said. I think the Venezuelan people would love to be like Puerto Rico. I know somebody who had 2 breweries in Venezuela, and when Maduro came in, they took his breweries, they took all his money out of his bank. Luckily, he had money in America, so he moved here. I'm sure he would love to go back and have his businesses back. This guy, this Maduro, what a dope. He could have left, stolen all the money he could, and been living a nice life. Now he's in jail, and he's facing criminal charges. Even though that.
I wonder if they'll find one of the. The judge overseeing the case is a Clinton appointee. I think I read he's 92 years old. Is that true? How long do you think it'll be before one of these Clinton, Obama, or Biden federal judges orders Maduro released?
Yes, I know. Especially now with that idiot mayor saying that let him go.
Mm-hmm.
This is New York. President Trump said maybe bring him to Miami, but any place better than New York.
Well, that's where the indictment is. So that's why they had to take him there.
Yeah, maybe they can transfer it though. Hopefully, but New York is usually pretty hard on drugs. But
by the way, today is the first day of Dan Bongino no longer being deputy director of the FBI.
Yeah, I know.
He said he's a civilian. He's returning to civilian life as of today.
Yeah, and so far I haven't heard him say anything negative. He just has been,
Well, he hasn't said anything yet.
Not happy. Yeah, exactly. So he's doing the right thing. I can't like this Marjorie Taylor Greene that's opened a big mouth and anybody else who's supposed to be mega. You're supposed to be quiet. You don't like what's going on. Yeah, you walk away and say, no, everything is fine. I just enough for me. Instead, they have to say negative things and give Democrats talking points and hurt the potential of the midterms.
Exactly.
Because You know, and Greenland, I think Greenland is another great place for us to take. You know, and I'm hoping that now Venezuela, that we have Venezuela, he's not going to give it back. We got to stay there forever.
No, we're going to be there forever. We're going to be there forever. And I think there's a very good chance that Venezuela becomes a U.S. territory like Puerto Rico or Guam. I believe it's very, very possible. How do you think we got Puerto Rico? We got Puerto Rico and Guam in the Spanish-American War. We kept them. We never gave them back. They belonged to Spain.
And they certainly are doing well. You know, they weren't there to have to pay any income tax.
I think the people of Venezuela would love to be a territory of the United States. I think they'd love it.
I would bet that all the people would certainly love it, especially when they had this drug is going on over there, like it's a negligible place.
Negligible. Yes, negligible. All right, Doug, I gotta run, but I appreciate the call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I was wondering if you were look-maxing.
I don't even know what that means. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Sebastian, calling from Texas.
All right, Texas. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm here, you know. I'm about to go to Europe here shortly, so I just wanted to give a call because I've been watching your stuff for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So just here to say hi, and so I support what we did in Venezuela. I just want to start off, but I'm not sure if I can support Trump with Greenland, though. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's my main thing is I voted for Trump once, or I mean I voted for Trump the first time because it was my first election. But I'm very anti-Russia, but I don't see why we should take Greenland
because
from
Russia and China are operating freely all around Greenland, which is strategically important for the United States security and the security of Europe as well. And Denmark's not doing their job of policing it. That's why.
But don't we have already a military base up there?
Very small base with few troops. We need to have it so we can have when it's U.S. soil, we can do things a little differently, or U.S. ice and snow, whatever you want to call it.
Right, but what would be the repercussions of taking Greenland?
Nothing but positive. And the people of Greenland would love it. I saw when Don Jr. flew to Greenland at the beginning of last year on Trump Force One, they were all wearing MAGA hats in Greenland. They're very MAGA in Greenland. There's only there's only about 50,000 native Greenlanders. There are Indians, Inuits, like the Eskimos.
It's a very small population for a massive part of land.
Exactly. And what's happening is Denmark is stealing all their resources. And they're living in pretty much poverty because Denmark's stealing everything. Hey, listen, have fun in Europe, all right? Take care. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Brian, this is Richie. I have something else to add to this conversation. Do you know what the flight time is from Venezuela to New York City?
I don't know.
Well, if you remember, they caught this guy basically in the middle of the night, and they didn't send him to New York till dark. They were interrogating him on that ship for many hours. Do you know how President Trump said that the election was stolen, and they try to say that he's crazy man? Basically, Let me tell you something. Your Mike Lindell is going to get reimbursed. You're going to find out that the star witness for President Trump.
Yeah, Richie, we got a big thing going on here. I don't want to get sidetracked, but I do appreciate the call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
You're a fat sack of shit.
Yeah, well, there's worse things to be. But I'll tell you what. There's a great offer going on right now with Sloman's. Listen to this. Sloman's Home Security is offering free home security system with free professional installation as well as 24/7 central station monitoring. You get all that for just $24.95 a month. And guess what? It's locked in for 5 years. What a great deal. All you have to do is give them a call. 833-283-5050. That's 833-283-5050. It's just $24.95 a month for 5 years. Okay, this is a limited time offer. A free home security system and professional installation, absolutely free. Your Sloman's home security system includes a touchscreen keypad, 3 door or window sensors, a motion detector, notifications, and remote keypad access, so you can check in from any time, no matter where you are in the world. Give them a call. Take advantage of this incredible limited time offer. 833-283-5050. 833-283-5050. We'll be right back.
Do you want healthier chickens, stronger immunity, and rich golden yolked eggs without relying on chemicals? Of course you do, but how do you do it, and where do you even begin? That's easy with the new book from author Mary Butler, The Herbal Hen House, Nurturing Your Chickens with Nature's Remedies, available on Amazon. Author Mary Butler is a devoted chicken keeper and herbal enthusiast who brings more than a decade of hands-on experience straight to your coop. The Herbal Hen House is a warm, practical guide that shows you how to use safe, effective herbs to support digestion, boost immunity, and improve egg quality, as well as help prevent common flock problems naturally. When you read The Herbal Hen House, you'll discover easy, beginner-friendly herbal remedies, simple DIY blends that you can make at home, as well as clear guidance on what's safe, what to avoid, and how to care for chickens at every stage of life, from chicks to senior hens. Whether you're raising your very first flock or have been tending chickens for years, the Herbal Hen House gives you the confidence to ditch those harsh chemicals and raise healthier, happier chickens the natural way. The Herbal Hen House, Nurturing Your Chickens with Natural Remedies, from author Mary Butler, is available right now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover. Order your copy right now. Your chickens will thank you. You know that frustration. You're doing everything right, working harder, spending more time on your marketing. You're hiring good people too, and still you're stuck. What if the real problem isn't what you think it is? Did you know that most high achievers are stuck because they're solving the wrong problem? You can get unstuck. You just need the right help and guidance. And that's what you will find on Beyond Blind Blaming, the podcast hosted by Kevin D. St. Clergy. Kevin learned early that when you can't see the real issue, even your best efforts, they'll fail. Now he helps entrepreneurs, leaders, and high achievers uncover the hidden blind spots that are holding them back. Each episode of Beyond Blind Blaming breaks down real business and leadership challenges, profit issues, team problems, scaling struggles, and reveals what's actually getting in the way. On Beyond Blind Blaming, there's no hype, no blame, just actionable clarity. If you're ready to stop solving the wrong problems and start leading with purpose, add Beyond Blind Blaming with host Kevin D. St. Clergy to your podcast playlist right now on Spotify and Apple Podcast, and stop feeling stuck.
All right, we have less than a minute until we're back. If you're on hold, hang in there. If you'd like to call in, please do. You can tell the liberals, they're not feeling too well today. No, they're not. Okay. All right, about 30 seconds. If you're watching on the with the green wall behind me, if you go to my main stream, you can see and hear all the audio and video. Just click on the channel and you'll see the main live stream there. And if you're new, please subscribe, all right? We've got about 15 seconds. We're back, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show. Florida is the longest running radio show. Our number is toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. Here's the president talking about snatching Maduro on Air Force One last night.
Any kind of peacekeeping? I think Americans are very...
It depends on what happens. It depends a little bit on the new administration, if you want to call it.
So if you see that pushback from Rodriguez and ultimately...
Well, I don't think there was pushback. I think that...
She called it...
Well, You hear a different person than I hear.
Really? So you have spoken with her?
We talked to them, yeah.
Oh, you did speak with her?
They've been very good.
Because she called it kidnapping of Maduro.
It's all right. It's not a bad term. Go ahead.
Not a bad term. I love that. Kidnapping. It's not a bad term. I love it, President Trump. He does it. These are not politically correct answers, right? And I love it. I love it. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
You're a good little...
Yeah, well, there's worse things to be. I got to tell you, the liberal reaction to what's been going on with President Trump is unbelievable. Okay, now let me pull up. Let me find this, because this is absolutely amazing. I wanted to pull this up. Hold on a second here. If you're on hold, stand by, because I want to get to a couple of things before we move on. Okay, here it is. This is CNN talking about our great president. Listen, CNN, they hate Trump, right?
Trump's remaking the United States of America. We can start there with tariffs. What are we talking about? No tacos for Trump. The effective tariff rate, get this, 18%. It is the highest, Omar, the highest since the 1930s, up from, get this, just 2% last year. As I'm going to talk about in this segment, I can't think of a more influential president during this century, and it starts here with tariffs. He said he was going to raise tariffs, and despite the claims otherwise, he is in fact doing that. The effective tariff rate at this point looks to be 9 times as high as it was last year, the highest since the 1930s in FDR, Omar.
Okay, so now we'll stop here. This is CNN. And when he says this century, he doesn't mean the 21st century. He means over the last 100-year period, right? So I want you to think about this. Now, remember, President Trump is going to rebuild the entire oil industry of Venezuela. They're an OPEC nation. They got a lot of oil. We have more than any of them. We have this oil alliance between the United States and Venezuela now that is going to be one of the most powerful economic alliances ever. OPEC is so irrelevant going to be. When this is all taken care of, they're going to be pretty much phased out. Venezuela may leave OPEC, or heck, maybe we'll join OPEC and be running the show. I don't know. You never know with Trump, right? But don't you see what's going on here? The amount of wealth that's going to be coming not into just Venezuela, but into our country between the oil wealth, this great new oil alliance that we're going to be with Venezuela, the tariffs, everything else. The next presidential election in 2028, the main issue very well may be the elimination of the income tax. If it's not in 28, it'll be 2032, or maybe the midterms in 2030. But in the next election cycle or two, ending the income tax is going to be one of the biggest issues. And of course, the Democrats, oh boy, they'll be against that.
And the effective tariff rate is up from 2% last year, for those that might see the banner there. Tariffs, though, aren't the only way Trump's remaking policy in America, right?
It is not the only way that Trump is remaking America. What are we talking about? Well, let's jump. The other big thing that Trump ran on, right, was immigration. How about net migration in the United States?
Now, and let me tell you, when I share this from CNN, and the reason I do this is because, when you can get the enemies of Trump, when you can get the liberals telling us all these great things, the other side can't discount, oh, that's just Fox, that's just Breitbart, that's just Newsman. Yet when you bring it from their own liberal sources, they can't dispute it, all right? So back to CNN here.
Right, was immigration. How about net migration in the United States? Get this, it's down. It's going to be down at least 60%. We may be dealing with, get this, negative net migration to the United States in 2025. That would be the first time there is negative net migration in this country in at least 50 years. We're talking about down from 2.8 million in 2024. So Donald Trump has always run on tariffs, and he's run on a hawkish line on immigration. And on both of those issues, we are seeing record high tariff rates for this century going all the way back well back into the early part of the 20th century. And when it comes to immigration, net migration, we are seeing record low levels, way down from where we were during the Biden administration. We are potentially looking at negative net migration for the first time in at least 50 years. And that is a big reason why that I'm saying that Trump, at least in my mind, is the most influential president, certainly this century, and probably dating a good back chunk into the 20th century as well, Omar.
Wow. I mean, we're you know, I got to tell you, you know, having President Trump, there's only one negative from us having President Trump. We're spoiled, right? I mean, we're just spoiled because we are never going to have a president that is this competent ever again doing all of these things. Now, I had mentioned, I was talking to Conservative Doug in the first segment of this hour. Dan Bongino is no longer deputy director of the FBI. He's returned to civilian life. So now we're going to find out, you know, what direction Dan Bongino is going to go in. This is going to be, it's really an unknown, right? Because that perp walk, which was a beautiful perp walk that we got of Maduro over the weekend, we want the perp walk of Comey and of Brennan, right, and these other people. And we haven't gotten that. And, you know, the question will be with Dan Bongino's audience, are they going to hold him accountable for any of that? Or is he going to be like, you know, have a clean slate with everyone? We're going to find out. But, you know, that perp walk of Maduro in New York over the weekend, did you guys enjoy it? It was an amazing perp walk. But the liberals started freaking out with that perp walk. Do you know why they were freaking out with the Maduro perp walk? Do you know why? Because they had fantasized about a perp walk with Trump, and the left are just fuming right now that they didn't get a Trump perp walk. Yeah, they got some phony arrests and everything, but they never got the perp walk. And the perp walk is what they've always wanted, and they didn't get it, and they're very upset about it. And it's so bizarre. I saw this was at Mar-a-Lago over the weekend. There was some of this. I saw a lot of this in New York. You have Venezuelans taking to the streets in New York and up at Mar-a-Lago. I know they're elsewhere too, but I saw these two incidences I'm going to describe at Mar-a-Lago and in New York over the weekend. So you have the Venezuelan people out in the streets celebrating that this dictator has been removed and their country has been liberated. And then across the street from them, you have these white liberals that are telling the world across the street from these Venezuelans that we need to put the dictator back in place in their country. These social justice warrior liberals have been calling Trump a dictator for, you know, even though he was elected all year, but he takes a dictator out of power. They want the dictator back in power. There's so much confusion going along with the left. And if you look at these Christmas week and New Year's week, and now what's going on this week from the actions on Saturday in Venezuela. Last week, the Democrats, all they were doing, and the media, the left, were defending the Democrat Tim Walz-led Somali piracy in Minnesota, stealing billions of dollars. They were defending all that, the Leering Center and everything else. Now this week, they're defending a dictator. Which is it? I mean, these people they've lost their mind. And the president of Venezuela, Marco Rubio, who President Trump put in charge of Venezuela, he went on the Sunday shows and did you guys see this? He just cleaned their clocks. Listen to this. This is Marco Rubio, the president of Venezuela right now, and Secretary of State, on Face the Nation with Margaret Brennan, cleaning her clock.
I'm curious because you just described the regime as still in place, essentially. I mean, I'm curious why the Trump administration decided to leave it intact and only arrest Nicolas Maduro and his wife, the person who controls the police, the chief thug, Diaz-Cabello. He's the interior minister. He's been indicted by the United States. He was in that indictment the administration released. He's a narco-terrorist. There's a $25 million price on his head. He's still in place.
This is great.
Defense
Listen.
minister, who has deep ties to Russia, $15 million price on his head. He is still in place. I'm confused. Are they still wanted by the United States? Why didn't you arrest them if you are taking out the narco-terrorist regime?
Listen to Marco's response.
You're confused? I don't know why that's confusing to you.
They're still in
I mean,
power.
It's very simple. You're not going to go in and wrap up. But you can't go. You're going to go in and suck up 5 people. They're already complaining about this one operation. Imagine the howls we would have from everybody else if we actually had to go and stay there 4 days to capture 4 other people. We got the top priority. The number 1 person on the list was the guy who claimed to be the president of the country that he was not. And he was arrested along with his wife, who was also indicted. And that was a pretty sophisticated and frankly complicated operation.
It was.
It is not easy to land helicopters in the middle of the largest military base in the country. The guy lived on a military base. Land within 3 minutes, kick down his door, grab him, put him in handcuffs, read him his rights, put him in a helicopter, and leave the country without losing any American or any American assets. That's not an easy mission. And you're asking me, why didn't we do that in 5 other places at the same time? I mean, that's absurd.
Exactly. Sure. Oh, my goodness. And, you know, she came into that, Margaret Brennan, thinking that she had this great question and was going to make Marco Rubio look like a fool. And what happened? He embarrassed her. I want to talk about Jupiter Joe Thomas. Perfect time to call Jupiter Joe Thomas as we've started this new year, 2026. Talk to him about annuities. Annuities are absolutely amazing. Of course, your money is safe. No matter, there could be a Great Depression tomorrow. You wouldn't lose 1 penny in your annuity. Plus, you've got that guaranteed income stream for the rest of your life. There's so many different types of annuities with Joe Thomas. The bonus, where you can get 10%, even more of a bonus on your money day 1, right? So if you invest $50,000, you make $5,000 on day 1, even more in some instances. There's one with health issues with you or your spouse where you get an income doubler. That guaranteed income you get every month gets doubled. So if you're getting $2,000 a month, it gets doubled to $4,000 a month. Annuities are absolutely amazing. Give Joe Thomas a call. Take advantage of that no-charge consultation, no matter where you are located. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And online, if you missed the number, just go to his website, jupiterjoe.com. That's jupiterjoe.com. Callers on hold, stand by. We'll go to the phones right after this.
Are you struggling with unanswered prayers, facing doubt in your faith journey, wondering if God is really listening? There's a transformative truth waiting for you. The groundbreaking new book reveals how God's answers to your prayers, according to His will, is always yes. Not sometimes, not maybe, always. God said yes. He never rejects, only directs and redirects. From author Gaten Glover Sr. This isn't just theology, this is life-changing. Discover how this perspective can transform your job search with confidence that God's affirmative answer is already unfolding. Strengthen your faith during health crises and personal challenges. Guide your parenting through disappointments with renewed wisdom. Navigate ethical decisions at work with spiritual clarity. Revitalize your Monday mornings and reconnect with your purpose. Whether you're a new believer grappling with faith, a longtime Christian facing spiritual burnout, someone in a season of doubt, a parent, professional, or seeker, you need this fresh lens on God's will. Through biblical narratives, personal stories, and theological insights, explore how God communicates with you, always aiming towards your ultimate good and growth. Find peace, discover purpose, experience God's yes. Available now. God said yes. He never rejects, only directs and redirects. From author Gaten Glover Sr. There's also a study guide that comes with the book that you can download. A transformative guide for your spiritual journey.
All right, we're still in radio station break. Let me see how long until we're back. Let's see here. Okay, I've got enough time to play this. Listen to this. This sums it up pretty good.
Oh, I can't believe it. Maduro's finally out. My family and I have been waiting for this moment for so long. Wait, are you not ashamed to support a president that violates international law to kidnap a president? International laws? Let me explain this again to you. My grandmother died looking for food. We have kids eating from trash cans in Venezuela. 1/3 of our population had to flee, not because they wanted to, but because that was the only thing they could do to survive. You want to talk about international law? Well, it doesn't change the fact that Congress did not approve this and that it is a violation of international law. Oh, it does matter. When you have a dictator starving and killing its own people, trafficking drugs into the United States and killing Americans here, yeah, I think Trump did us a favor. Well, still, he cannot go in and kidnap an elected president. It sets a very dangerous precedent. Well, you know nothing about Venezuela very clearly because first and foremost, Maduro is not our elected president.
You know, see, the thing about these that are interesting, there's young people all over the place filling up the internet with some truths about the situation. We got the youth on Trump's side here. Hold on, we're coming back. Welcome back. I'm Brian. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, celebrating the great victory over the weekend, the liberation of Venezuela. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Ivy and Broward. Am I coming in okay, Brian?
Yes, you are. What's on your mind?
Hey. Oh, my goodness. You know, the guy from CNN, I love it because if you go back to Hillary in 2016, when all the time the numbers were against Trump in the battleground states and everything, and he always dips and drops low. When he says low, every time he does that now, it's MAGA, it's Trump, and it's beautiful to see. I love the way Marco Rubio cleaned that lady's clock on Face the Nation because like callers call you give them an extent answer to their question, and they move right along. Okay, let me then answer this one. To tag on what Nick from Baltimore and Richie the bus driver said, Cuba. This is what I think. I think Trump is going to force them because remember he already has this information months in advance. So what we're seeing now has already been planned months in advance. I think Trump is going to force.
Hold on, IB, as I answer, my phones are ringing off the hook. Yeah, go ahead.
The contract.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to have them force them to undo the contract. The people are going to have civil unrest, and I do believe Trump is going to have to do airdrops because Trump cares about all people in the world, not just Republicans and MAGA like these liberals think. So he's not going to let those people suffer. I think we're going to do airdrops.
Well, how long? Let me. There's a big, big problems in. Hold on a second. The big problems in Venezuela. I mean, they have been eating dogs. So there's going to be a mass humanitarian relief project that takes place in Venezuela almost immediately. I'm sure they have it underway already. We just haven't seen it. But how long do you think? How long do you think Cuba can last without their government falling with the Venezuelan oil cut off?
Well, without that electricity, that's going to create even more problems for the people who are eating crackers and mayonnaise. This is why it's so important that we are at this point to force them to come to the table because without the electricity, they're also going to be just like everybody else. They're also going to be in the dark. So this is going to tie their hands behind their back, and Trump is probably going to do away with that contract Richie said for 75 years that they can't do anything about it. Their backs against the wall in that scenario because what else can they do? The embargo is still there. So
and one of the things about when Cuba falls. One of the things that's going to surprise liberals, the majority of the population of Cuba is black. A lot of liberals don't really know that. You know, the blacks, though, have no real seat in government, so you don't see them too much. And this will be a massive liberation of Cuba, but in particular black Cubans who live in the worst of the worst situations in Cuba. They're the descendants of the slaves from all the sugar plantations of Cuba back in the day.
Right, and if you think Trump didn't have a couple of scenarios before he went into Venezuela because of the repercussions of where those oil tankers were going, he already knows what he's going to do to those other places and how he's going to take care of the people. Otherwise, why would he be worried about Ukraine? Why would he just let them go kill themselves?
Well, I tell you, I saw Zelensky over the weekend at a press conference, and they asked him about Maduro and Trump. And Zelensky looked scared, like he's afraid Trump is going to remove him and get the war over with, right? And appoint somebody else to be the president because he's not doing the job. And Zelensky, he looked terrified over the weekend, I thought.
If we ever seen a dictator other than Putin, it would be Zelensky and Venezuela. Okay, so to ban churches, you can't vote and so forth. why would we even be helping them? Is because of the people. Trump cares about the people. Otherwise, theoretically, we will let them just go down the drain. And as for Tim Walz, this is amazing. How Democrats don't quit that easy. This is just a pebble drop in the pond of the money that's been stolen throughout the years from the entire country. Minnesota was like kind of the brainchild of it, and now we're gonna see all of these things come together, and all of that money that has been stolen going to force us back to the original position that Trump is taking a year ago, is getting rid of the IRS. Because see, that's going to be such a fight. And that fight is going to be severe, but we still have 3 years.
By the way, is that you?
Go.
Are you in reverse right now? Are you backing up your vehicle while you're talking to me?
That is an unloading truck with a forklift taking things up a truck.
All right, it's pretty. All right, appreciate the call, IB, but that noise, I gotta go. That's too loud. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello. Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, Brian. Isn't it true that Venezuela and Maduro was one of these countries that wanted to go away from accepting dollars for oil?
Probably. Since they're in league with China.
Yeah, just like Gaddafi wanted to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
All right. That's all you got? That's what I like. So Tim Walz's press conference today, it's being reported that he's going to drop out of the governor's race, not resign. But, and this Nick Shirley reporting has really put a lot of things in motion. Listen to this. This is a local Fox affiliate in Minnesota. They've been doing some investigating, and listen to what they found in Minnesota. This is crazy.
In December of 2021, the FBI installed a surveillance camera overlooking this building just off Lake Street in Minneapolis. At the time, it was Safari Restaurant, which overall took in $12 million in federal child meal payments through Feeding Our Future. Safari's former co-owner, Salim Saeed, is on trial alongside Amy Bach, the Feeding Our Future executive director. Safari claimed to feed 4,000 to 6,000 kids a day. Its invoices and meal counts shown to the jury alongside the video. An FBI agent testifying that an average of 40 people came and went during the 6 weeks it was surveilled.
They said they were serving 4,000 children a day. They saw 40 to 60 in a couple of months.
The FBI set up a total of 12 cameras at sites claiming to serve extraordinary numbers of meals. Another was at a deli in St. Paul, also registered by defendant Salim Saeed, which claimed 1,800 meals per day. The video shown to the jury showed an average of 23 people a day coming and going.
Is this the case where the judge threw out the guilty verdict, by the way?
The jury was shown dozens of invoices, meal counts, and emails seized from Feeding Our Future's headquarters in St. Anthony. Some showed links to websites that randomly generated names and ages to create rosters of children who were served meals. Many were signed or sent by Amy Bach, who's charged with wire fraud, along with bribery for the alleged kickbacks that she received. Her defense attorney tried to raise doubt when it cross-examined the FBI agent, that they didn't see the back entrance where it's possible meals left packed in trucks.
Oh, my goodness. Possible. So they're trying to create reasonable doubt. They're feeding children by the thousands at the back door.
Delivery. He pushed back, insisting they'd still see congestion. To that volume, he said, I would say it would not make any sense.
That case became...
Oh, my goodness. I mean, things are, whatever Tim Walz announces today, would it surprise you if we woke up one day and saw that Tim Walz was in China? Would it surprise you if he fled to China? Of course, it'd be a vacation. He spent a lot of time there when he was younger. It would not surprise me at all. The thing about this Minnesota issue, a lot of the focus is put on the Somalis, and I get that because they're actually doing it. But this was an operation put in place by the Democrats, led by Tim Walz. And I know today's like the first day back for a lot of people in this country because we've had 2 weeks of our, Christmas and New Year's holiday period. But when we were covering this story last week, and I just want to recap on a couple of things from it. I was talking about this last week. I believe that Tim Walz was picked to be Kamala's running mate as a reward for his successful Somali fraud operation in Minnesota, that the Democrats wanted him to be vice president so he could bring that operation to all the states, at least the blue states where the Democrats are in charge, because and use what he did in Minnesota as a model. What President Trump's reelection has meant, not just to this country but to the world, is so great that it cannot even be measured. And this action in Minnesota, or in Venezuela over the weekend, where we conquered a country in 2 hours, right? I mean, it's just it. We defeated a country that had a navy, right? An army. They've got an air force, and they have anti-aircraft weapons. They didn't get a shot off. No American killed. No American equipment lost. They said there's some injuries. I haven't gotten the details. I don't think they released the details on the injuries yet. I mean, we won a war in 2 hours. Something like that's never been seen before, never been done before. Not by this country. It's beyond amazing. But, and he's doing this for a lot of different reasons. The border issue is not even going to be an issue anymore because most of it's been coming up through Venezuela. And, everything he's doing, that these fake MAGA people like Marjorie Taylor Greene are talking about over the weekend. Well, I'm America first. This is wrong, You don't get more America first than what Trump did in Venezuela. Kicking out China, kicking out Iran, kicking out Cuba, right? Taking down the cartels there. Can you imagine the amount of intelligence information we've gathered by taking over Venezuela? Because Maduro was the big cartel leader. They got his cell phone now, right? So they got all the personal numbers of the cartel leaders throughout Latin America. Not the burner phones that they use for their workers, but the way Maduro would get in touch with them. The amount of intelligence that we've gathered on the cartels is probably a level that we've never dreamed of having before. And we're going to start to see some of these targeted attacks on the Colombian cocaine factories and the cartels in Mexico as well. Now, it is January. How many of you have made a New Year's resolution to lose weight? 2026 will be the year that you keep that resolution. Call Coastal Weight Loss Secret and schedule your no-charge consultation. I met with them last January. I lost the weight. I've kept it off. And guys, keeping it off has been effortless because with Coastal Weight Loss Secret, there's no drugs, no shots, no pills, no big lifestyle changes. And keeping the weight off has been easy, easy, easy. In fact, not only am I the weight I was almost 30 years ago, I haven't gained a single ounce back since I've been in the maintaining phase of Coastal Weight Loss Secret. They can help you lose weight no matter where you are. We have listeners from all over the United States that have lost and are losing weight from the help of Coastal Weight Loss Secret. Call them right now and schedule your no-charge consultation. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightloss.com. If you're on hold, stand by. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. My name is Brian. We'll take our break and be back after this.
This is Mark Laporta, son of Tom Laporta and proud second-generation owner of Laporta Roofing. As a military veteran who served in the Army after 9/11, I've brought the same dedication and discipline to our family business. At Laporta Roofing, we've been serving our community for nearly 4 decades, and we're committed to continuing that legacy of excellence. Our team specializes in all types of roofing systems, from shingles to tile, slate, metal, and flat roofs. We're the go-to experts for single-family homes, HOA communities, and condo associations. What sets us apart is our unwavering commitment to customer satisfaction. I've personally implemented systems to ensure you receive the best in customer service and workmanship. Don't miss out on our limited time offer for a free roof inspection. Call us now at 954-604-4602 or visit us at laportaroofing.com. Trust the experts who have been protecting homes like yours for generations. Again, that number is 954-604-4602.
You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Sandra. I'm calling from Delray Beach. The Barry Siegel Law Group did such wonderful work for me, and I was very particular. I'm a professional myself, and I went to about 3 or 4 attorneys prior. They wanted to do what they wanted to do. They didn't want to add anything extra, but Barry tailored it to my needs. And it's not only the trust. There's so many other end-of-life documents, the living will, the will, and I tailored each one one of them to my liking, and they were wonderful and always, always polite. Never showed any aggravation, or because I contacted them many times. Always polite. And not only that, when you finish your documents and you leave this world, your beneficiaries could go there and they'll explain everything to them, which is a big deal because a lot of these beneficiaries or heirs, they're not cognizant of what to do. I just wanted to let you know that the Siegel Group is above and beyond any other attorney that I have ever contacted. Plus, they give you a big portfolio at the end with a leather-bound documents. It's beautiful.
Give the Siegel Law Group a call, 855-FLA-3782, 855-FLA-3782, and online, siegellawgroup.com. All right, we'll be back in about a minute, so if you're on hold, stand by. And if you'd like to call in, the number's pinned in the live chat. All right. Less than a minute, we'll be back, and I'll go to the phones. All right, 20 seconds or so. If you're on hold, hang in there. We're back. I'm Brian. It's Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Rice or beans?
Oh, okay, PJ.
PJ
yes.
from Broward.
Hey, PJ, what's up?
Hey, you know who should be up on the stage with Tim Walz today, also announcing her resignation? Has to be that CNN reporter, Whitney Wild. Worst investigative reporter in the history of the universe.
Now, hold on, PJ, while I answer the lines. My lines are blowing up right now. Yeah, I'd like to see on stage the hijab-wearing lieutenant governor of Minnesota with him, too. Just for laughs.
You know what? I hate to yeah, guess what, though? She's running for U.S. Senator from Minnesota. Did you know that?
Oh, yeah, I do. I forgot about that.
She's one of the candidates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's
so
great.
You're going to see hijab. Yeah, I don't know. We've got to give her a nickname, but I mean that Whitney Wild. I just saw your investigative report on TV. Showing they were doing that Somali place with the food. They actually did actual investigation. But Whitney Wild, her idea of investigation, what she does, she calls up like these home child care centers. Says, "Excuse me. I'm investigating child care centers. Are you legitimate?"
Yes.
Oh, you are? Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your call. See, they're legitimate. They just told us on the phone. Yeah, I know. Yes, I know.
Yeah, and you know what's amazing to me, though? Is doesn't she have, like, editors or producers at CNN says, hey, you know what? We can't allow this to be going on the air. It's going to make us look absolutely ridiculous and be laughed at. And that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, I know. This is just an amazing time, isn't it? It's amazing what's going on.
Yeah, I mean the amount of like this has been this is one long weekend starting really last Wednesday with New Year's Eve, and usually it's like kind of really slow. You don't pay much attention to the news, and it's just news blasting away at you all the time.
I know.
Many things are happening.
That's why I didn't take any time off, over the holidays, because there's just so much going on. How can you take time off?
No, wait, weren't you off on New Year's Day?
No, I did a live stream on YouTube, taking calls.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, that's right. I do remember that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but you weren't.
We did a best of on the radio, but there was so much news breaking. I mean, I was on YouTube doing a live stream at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. on Saturday morning because of I woke up and I saw this attack that was going on, this invasion and liberation of Venezuela. I've never seen this over holidays. Usually the news is very slow.
Yeah, Well, what happened with me is on Saturday morning, I'm sleeping, at 7 in the morning, and my wife we got some relatives visiting from Colorado. She's down in Miami with them. So all of a sudden I get a phone call from her, and I'm getting ready to chew her out. Like, what the hell are you calling me? Because I'm still recuperating from New Year's Eve. She goes, yeah, Maduro Kaya, Maduro Kaya, Maduro fall. I said, what? And all of a sudden, I was completely awake. Like, what the hell is going on?
Who would have imagined?
But, that was a good time. Actually, if you're going to do that, the best times would have been, like, anywhere from New Year's morning early until through any time this weekend at night. So the timing was really good. Maduro probably figured, nothing much will happen over the New Year's weekend. I can sort of relax. But that didn't happen. One other thing, though, I've been hearing rumors that the vice president now in charge, I heard some rumors that she left Venezuela already. Like, do you ever hear
The president
hear
said that he
about
talked to her. The president said he's talked to her. He said on Air Force One last night.
Yeah, because right now, I wonder if they're giving him like time to leave. Like, I got a funny feeling that a lot of the top leaders like that. Vladimir, a guy, I don't know how a guy in South America gets named Vladimir, but the General Vladimir, if he'll skedaddle,
don't worry, they're not done making arrests. Hey, PJ, I got a full board. I'm going to move on, but it's good to talk to you again sometime. Good to hear from you. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. It's Patricia from Massachusetts.
Hey, Patricia, what's on your mind?
I wanted to say, I heard you say the other day, you asked many callers if they would say that the United States is the greatest country in the world, and they didn't hear anybody say it.
Well, I was asking that of liberals.
Yeah, well, I would say it. And I was wondering if you heard that there's a breaking story that someone has shot at the vice president's residence in Ohio, and they have been.
When did you? No, I've not. I will take a look at that. Yeah, I'll take a look.
30 minutes ago.
Okay, I'll take a look.
Happy New Year.
Okay, I pull it up. I just pulled it up. Suspect in custody. It says here. This is from the local news in Cincinnati. A man is in custody after he allegedly damaged Vice President J.D. Vance's home early Monday morning. This is a story from 2 hours ago. It happened at Vance's East Walnut Hills house, located on William Howard Taft Drive, who was one of the 10 presidents from Ohio. It happened at U.S. Secret Service called for the Cincinnati police at 12:15 a.m. after seeing someone running eastbound. According to a statement from the Secret Service, the suspect broke several windows of JD's home and was detained shortly thereafter. So,
I'm glad they weren't there.
So they're not nothing there. So. There's nothing from the Secret Service statement about shots fired, but I appreciate you letting me know. I'll keep my eye on it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very dangerous. Everybody be careful.
All right, take care. Well, that's how liberals operate, You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Brian. It's Sandra from Boca. How are you?
All right, Sandra. What's up?
No, just wanted to say that I think a lot of people, some of your callers, don't understand that this was a humanitarian crisis.
Yeah.
That these people of Venezuela, see, if you don't walk a mile in people's shoes, then you don't know. And these people were starving, and not to mention all the other atrocities that were going on over there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and not to mention that nobody's really talked about too much about his strike in Nigeria, which also helped a lot of people. And he went in, I think, what was it, Christmas, I think, for that?
Yeah.
Because these terrorists, they wait until the crops are like the best that they can be on these farms, and then they go and they wipe them out.
That's right.
So there's a lot of atrocities going on. So if anything, they should be thanking Trump.
Oh, yeah.
Not criticizing him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So that's that's my comment for today.
Okay. All right. Appreciate the call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Jason from Spokane.
All right. What's up, Jason from Spokane?
Hello, Brian. I hope you're having a wonderful morning.
Of course.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. What's on your mind?
I wanted to ask you about pretense for this planned extended operation in Venezuela. The capture of Maduro, I'm happy about, but what I'm not happy about is the idea of spending American tax dollars to fund some sort of occupational humanitarian aid in Venezuela. I'm not excited about it.
Well, whatever it's going to cost, I'm sure it's less than the Somalis have stolen out of Minnesota.
Sure, but that's not really an argument, right? I mean,
so you want to let the people starve to death down there? You want to let them starve?
I don't want Americans to starve, and I think that Trump is.
No, I didn't ask you about that. You want the Venezuelan people to starve because of your tax dollars not going there? Are you out of your mind?
Do you think that that's a fair response to what I said?
Yeah.
Because
President Trump said something amazing. President Trump said on Saturday, President Trump said that Venezuela owes the United States a lot of money, right? In the land they stole, the oil rights they stole, and they're going to pay us back for everything in oil. And by the way, they owe us money for all the death and destruction in this country with the murders and the drugs and our prison system. So, we are now responsible for Venezuela. It is now part of the United States, and we're going to make sure that they're fed. And we're going to get all that money back. We're going to get all that money back and more in oil.
Does this not remind you of the occupation of Iraq?
No.
That we did for 20 years?
No.
It doesn't? Not at all?
Nope.
So, okay, so what I believe is the pretense for this occupation is to benefit the military-industrial complex.
If that were true, the war wouldn't have been over in 2 hours.
It's not over.
It is over.
It
is over. It was over in 2 hours.
A humanitarian aid project to.
You didn't think this call through too well.
Eliminating their government.
You didn't think this call through too well. If the military-industrial complex had any role in this, there would have been a mass invasion. The combat would still be going on. It wouldn't have been over in 2 hours. It was over 2 hours after we entered the country. Think about that. That's not what the military-industrial complex wants, a 20-year insurrection like in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Our occupation in the Middle East was done within a week after the first Desert Storm.
Yeah, but they didn't. We could have ended these wars in a couple of hours too. But they were.
We were there for right. I agree with you. But we were there for 20 years. Why is that?
Because the other presidents before Trump are corrupt killers that are in bed with the military-industrial complex. Unlike President Trump. Listen, I'm out of time. I'm coming up on the top of the hour.
That gets the money.
There's not going to be an occupation in Venezuela like we had in Iraq. All right, appreciate the call. We're coming up on the top of the hour break. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. My name is Brian Craig. Our number is toll-free, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll be back with your calls and Steve Kane after our top of the hour break. Don't go anywhere.
The phone ring.
All right.
Hello?
You're there now. Got you now.
All right.
All right. You there?
All right.
Okay, I'm here.
Okay, I'm going to put you on hold just for a moment. Hold on. Okay, are you there, Steve?
I'm here.
We got about 90 seconds.
Okay, sounds good. Just take the lead and go. You there, Brian?
Yeah. I'm just looking over a couple things.
Okay.
All right. Okay, we got about 30 seconds.
Okay.
All right, we're back. The third hour has begun. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Steve Kane joining us. Big news weekend, Steve. Oh, my goodness.
Happy New Year to you.
Oh, my goodness. You know, before we get started, listen to this. This is from a listener. Listen to this. It's about life. They're talking about life imaging FLA. Listen to this. I went for the CT scan and found out that I needed 2 stents put in my heart. The cardiologist said that within 6 to 9 months, I would have had a stroke, died, or had a silent heart attack. Life imaging FLA saved my life. You know, I got to tell, isn't that something? That's absolutely amazing. You know, here we are. It's the 5th day of 2026, but for most people, it's a lot of people are off work, so it's the first day of the year for a lot of people, at least work-wise. Think about all these people that are here with us in 2026 because they went over and had the scan at Life Imaging FLA. That is just absolutely amazing. These are people that would not have been with us if it were not for that scan. It's absolutely amazing. Listen, call Life Imaging FLA for your free heart scan now with a few minimum requirements, valued at $699. From your cell, call pound 250 and say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. That's pound 250 and say free heart scan. You'll be connected in just seconds. Pound 250, say free heart scan. They have locations in Broward, Dade, and Palm Beach. Pound 250 from your cell phone and say free heart scan. All right, so we now have a new territory, Venezuela. Marco Rubio is now the president of Venezuela. President Trump put him in charge of it. It's true.
It's great.
It's true. Yeah. You know what's going and Cuba. The big talk now is, you know, it's. I bet you can make bets on this. If you call your gambling friends, the oil to Cuba has now been cut off. So I was listening to Fox yesterday and on Sunday. And Brian Kilmeade said that Cuba will fall within a year. I've not heard anybody give them that much time. You know, they have no oil supply now in Cuba. So they need the oil.
It'll be pretty quick.
Well, yeah.
Pretty quick.
They can't power their power plants without the Venezuelan oil that they've been getting for free. Because they've been stealing it. Marco Rubio said that Venezuela's basically been a colony of Cuba. So I think it could be just a matter of weeks. It's possible that Cuba would completely fall, right? I mean, how long can
That'll be pretty quick.
Oh my goodness! How long can they? How long can the communists run Cuba if they have no oil coming in forget about the cars, but to have electricity? I know a lot of people say, well, they only have electricity 3 hours a day. There's some that's not true in Havana, where the leadership live. They have electricity probably all the time, right?
It leaves your head spinning. I mean, I've never seen anything like this. It drove the Minnesota story, which is one of the biggest stories I've ever seen, right off the front pages.
Well, we are.
I didn't see anything. I'm reading the Post here. There's almost nothing about Minnesota.
They're going to be back in the news later today because Walt is having a press conference where it's expected for him to drop out of the governor's race, paving the way for Mike Lindell's victory. But yeah, I mean, Minnesota is out of the news because of Venezuela. You know, one of the things I realized, I couldn't believe this war with Venezuela was over in 2 hours. And all these people that are making comparisons to Noriega and Panama, I remember that because I watched it on television. Right, and that was a full-scale invasion. I don't remember how large it was, but that was a full-scale invasion where we had troops moving through the city and everything in Panama. It wasn't like this. I mean,
There's never been anything like it.
Oh, you know,
never been anything like it.
And we found out that we used some secret, what President Trump and Raising Cane referenced it, but we used some secret weapon that they've never talked about before. They didn't give us any details on it, but they were able to take out the electricity in Venezuela that they wanted to take out. It wasn't like one of those EMPs or whatever those things are called that take out all electronics. We have some technology where we can take out the electricity where we want to take it out. And they use new weapons technology to do this. I have followed every military operation in my coherent lifetime. You know, since I was a kid, I always follow these things. I've never seen one happen this quick. I mean,
it was breathtaking.
I mean, the pettiest military action, like the tiniest thing I think we've done in my lifetime, was Belize. Remember, the Cubans were holding some American medical suit? That was a full-scale invasion of the Marines. They had a major fleet movement and a major invasion of Belize to get those students out of that college, that medical school down there.
What I love about the news is, once again, the sides have lined up, and the Democrats are there supporting the tyrants and the evildoers.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's unbelievable. I mean, every time they get left holding the bag, and they keep siding with the wrong side.
Yeah, I know.
Let's just hope that it plays out that way in this upcoming election. That's key.
Well, the Hispanic vote is forever gone for the Democrats. Even Ana Navarro from The View was praising the operation into Venezuela.
I don't worry about South Florida or the state of Florida very much, but it's everything else. It could all go down the drain if we don't win this Congress in the next election.
Oh, we're gonna win. We're gonna win. This event in Venezuela, it's a big deal to everybody, but in the Hispanic community, it's the equivalent to the fall of the Berlin Wall. It is like huge.
Yeah. I would say that's accurate.
It's bigger than we realize. So the Hispanic vote is forever lost by the Democrats. They're never going to get that back. This is amazing, and they've got no arguments against it. And I would not be surprised. I was talking about this earlier. I don't know if you agree with this or not, but there may never be a real independent Venezuela again. They may become just a territory of the United States. President Trump said yesterday that they can't have an election until they get the economy on track. Well, how long is that going to take? Right? I mean, that's going to take
the rate
years.
that Trump moves, maybe not that long.
It's a big country, so they may become a territory like Puerto Rico, where they can elect a governor. And this Maduro takedown is amazing. I'm hoping we get to see the video when they nabbed him, because did you hear President Trump's description of when they grabbed him?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So he had his house. I didn't realize this. Marco Rubio on the Sunday Show shared this. Maduro's house was on a military base, which I didn't know that. That was new. But he got into his safe room, but he couldn't get the door shut, which he said that they could have cut through in 47 seconds. And he was caught so off guard. I just have this vision of him in his underwear trying to shut the door while the Marines are arresting him with the DEA there. I hope we get to see the video because President Trump said he saw it.
Boxer shorts?
Yeah, probably silk boxer shorts. You know, he leads a cartel, so they're probably expensive with a robe on. A silk robe and boxer shorts.
Put every dictator in the world on notice.
Oh.
That they're not playing with children here.
By the way, that includes Putin and Zelensky.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
You know, but Russia...
The same technology they use to pull this off, they could really use on any dictator they wanted to.
You know,
and it's not wasted on them.
I don't think the world realized how advanced and powerful our military is. Because Venezuela, they have a Navy, an Army, an Air Force, and anti-aircraft weaponry. And a lot of that weaponry is from China. And we are decades technologically. Our military is decades above any of these other countries, including China and Russia. And Putin, who's been playing games, he can't even beat Ukraine after, 4 years? We went into a country that had everything. They didn't even get a shot off, and we conquered a whole country. We conquered Venezuela in 2 hours without them even getting a shot off, right? And he's messing around for 4 years, getting whooped by Ukraine, and he had and he can't do it. And I bet you, I saw Zelensky over the weekend, and he looked nervous, like Trump might replace him. They all are thinking this because they don't know. But I think Putin's probably also, well, you know what? I've been toying around with Trump. Maybe that's not a good idea. Because I wouldn't be surprised if we could take him like we did Maduro as well, Putin and Zelensky, and that would be the end of it. Certainly Zelensky. But I was sharing this story earlier in the show, Steve. Canada's freaking out over this because, Venezuela has a lot of oil just like us. Canada has been messing around with the United States over the oil imports. They've been giving us a lot of grief and causing us problems. They've been fighting the pipeline. They've been putting all these tariffs. Now, all of a sudden, we're not going to be getting any oil from Canada anymore. We're going to be in partnership with Venezuela. We're going to get it from us and them. Canada's cut out of the mix. This is going to be, Carney, the new prime minister of Canada, has been messing around with President Trump, and Canada is going to be irrelevant now. I mean, the things that are going on over this weekend are just wild. Now, if you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. 888-465.
Do we want to put a special call out, especially for our liberal friends in the audience? Give them a little encouragement here.
Sure, absolutely.
Give them a couple free whacks.
Yeah.
They call in, let them state their positions uninterrupted, and then
okay,
get involved in the back and forth.
All right, we can do that. We'll give a little bit of a pass to the liberals if you want to call in. I can't imagine there's any argument against this. We'll find out. The number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. Now, I know a lot of you out there have made the New Year's resolution to lose weight. Let 2026 be the year that your resolution to lose weight comes true. Call Coastal Weight Loss Secret, no matter where you're located in America or abroad. We have listeners from all over the United States and even beyond that have lost literally a ton of weight with Coastal Weight Loss Secret. I first met with Coastal Weight Loss Secret last January. Not only did I lose the weight, I've kept it off. I'm weighing what I weighed almost 30 years ago, okay? It's amazing. And keeping the weight off has been easy because there's no lifestyle changes, there's no pills, there's no shots, no injections. I'm going to put you on hold, Steve, for a moment. I'll be back with you in a moment. And keeping the weight off has been effortless. I've not gained back a single ounce. Call Coastal Weight Loss Secret and schedule your no-charge consultation. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. That's 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlossecret.com. We'll be right back. If you're on hold, stand by, guys. The phones are ringing pretty busily there. Now, I'd like to ask you guys to check out and sub to my second channel where I do vlogs, Main Street Moments. You just look it up on YouTube, Main Street Moments here on YouTube, and I do all kinds of vlogging there. Yesterday, you can say I went deep, hidden Florida. That's my yesterday I did a live stream in the morning, and I went there and deep into the Florida Everglades right after that live stream. Check that out, and you can see I go to a lot of different places. It's Main Street Moments. Here I went to the sets of Star Trek, which is an incredible tour. I risked my life for this vlog. That's when I was almost murdered while vlogging on the streets of Jacksonville. Here I got to see Burt Reynolds, Trans Am, all kinds of things there. It's Main Street Moments on YouTube. Look it up, and if you guys could subscribe, I'd appreciate it, all right? And you'll enjoy the vlogs, I'm sure. Let's see, when are we coming back? Okay, just over a minute. Main Street Moments on YouTube. If you guys could subscribe, I'd appreciate it. All right, Steve, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, we got about a minute.
Okay. This is where we lose you usually.
No, I got you. You're here.
Okay.
Oh, man. All right. Okay, we've got about 30 seconds. All right, we're back. It's the Steve Kane Show. Steve is here. I'm Brian. It is Monday, January 5th, 2026. We're living in the future. Oh, my goodness. All right, you want to take some calls, Steve?
Let's do it.
All right, let's go. Our number is 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Okay. All right, there we go. There's the first liberal response, Steve. There you go.
Moving right along.
Oh, my goodness, I'll tell you. I gave him a chance. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Gary Heiser, and I'm in North Palm Beach County, Florida.
All right, we only need first names, Gary. Go ahead, Gary, in North Palm Beach.
My question today is, did I hear you say that Cuba is likely to fall since what's going on in Venezuela?
Yes.
And will that create new opportunities? I mean, for travel or new opportunities for commerce? I mean,
yeah, sure. Maybe we'll take one of our manga cruises to Havana when it's turned into a beautiful resort. Yeah, sure. Why not?
Why not? Thank you for the good work you're doing.
All right, appreciate it. You don't sound happy about that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I am. I want to go to Venezuela. I want to go to Cuba, and no, I am happy about it.
Oh, okay, good.
I am happy about it.
All right, take care. All right, yeah, good. Yeah, right. What I found so far, because it's like third hour here, been on almost 3 hours. The liberation of Venezuela, basically we liberated it and conquered it at the same time. And the countdown to the fall of the communist regime of Cuba, these are I haven't really heard anybody make a case against it on the phones today. I mean, it's
hard to make a case,
isn't it? I mean, how can you be in favor? But this is the thing, because the Sunday shows are what really did it. Marco Rubio went on the Sunday shows, and these big time idiots that host the Sunday shows thought they had all the answers that were going to expose the Trump regime, and he cleaned all their clocks. And there's really no argument against doing it. One of the things they had was, well, we invaded, which we really didn't, but we invaded Venezuela, but they didn't attack us first. And then, Marco, well, they've been attacking us for 50 years with the drugs and the border. They've been invading us for decades. So, yeah. I mean, so if you're on the other side, how can you really take issue with this? There were some I saw in New York. I don't know if this has been on Fox yet, if you've seen it, Steve. But in New York, there were a lot of Venezuelans who were celebrating in the streets, and then there were these white liberals telling them that that they should have the dictator back in Venezuela.
What you're talking about when you say white liberals, you're talking about communists is basically what they are.
Yeah, and some investigative citizen journalists found out that they were paid pro-Maduro protesters, that they didn't even know what they were there for. They were just paid to be there and hold up these signs that say these things that they didn't know what the signs said. The things, this has been a constant theme and now we're in 2026, but in this second term of President Trump's, the things that he is doing are things that are universally accepted as positive by most everybody. And and when you look at what's going on between this, the thievery going on in Minnesota that is being exposed and everything, I think if we have a turnout on Election Day in November, we're going to gain seats in both houses. The midterm elections are looking very good for us. I mean, how could we not win? Right? And the tax refunds haven't even happened yet. And it was I don't know if we talked about this on you were off on Friday, but the Treasury Secretary was talking about how a lot of people have been overpaying in their taxes in 2025 because these blue states are still collecting taxes on things they're not supposed to, overtime and tips. So not only are they going to get a refund, they're going to get a massive refund. A lot of people that maybe never have gotten a refund ever, and so when on top of all these good things that are happening, this is going to be really seen in the new year. The big beautiful bill just went into effect on January 1st, and the government's been closed. Today's the first workday, right? So people, there's nothing but good news. I don't see a scenario, unless we don't have a big turnout. We got to have a massive turnout. But I don't see a scenario where we don't win the midterms. I have no worries about it. As long as we get a big turnout, right? That's the important part. We got to swamp them at the polls. Yeah. But we've got the popular support. I mean, can you imagine? We're going to have the largest Hispanic turnout voting Republican in history around the country because of what President Trump just did with and the thing that he did is getting in and out in 2 hours. That's what it was. I was up in the middle of the night. I got up at like 1:30 or so on Saturday morning. So, and
the amazing thing is he did it without a casualty.
Exactly, or any loss of equipment. And I was watching it live at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, but most people weren't up right at that hour. When people woke up in the morning, whatever time they get up on Saturday morning, 8, 10 o'clock, whatever people sleep in, they found out that Venezuela had been liberated while they were sleeping, right? I mean, and that Maduro was on his way here, and these images that they showed of him were beautiful. The perp walk, I love that image of him blindfolded on the ship on the Iwo Jima. He was blindfolded and he was standing up holding things in his hand. It looked like he was playing a video game or something. It happened so quick. And
it was breathtaking.
Oh, But this is the thing, Steve. We probably, if Donald Trump was president on 9/11, we probably would have had bin Laden in 2 or 3 days, not this 20-year war that went on, right? I mean, that's just the way of it. I want to talk about Jupiter Joe Thomas and annuities. Oh, this is just amazing. You can take advantage of the no-charge consultation that Jupiter Joe offers no matter where you are. There's so many different types of annuities. Before I met Joe Thomas, I'd heard of annuities. I really didn't understand them or know what they were, but I thought there was just like one thing. Okay, I bought an annuity and I got it. I didn't realize there's so many different types of annuities. There's one that is amazing where you get a bonus on your money on day one, a 10% bonus, some even more. So if you invest $50,000 in an annuity, you make $5,000 on day one. Isn't that amazing? There's an income doubler for medical conditions, another type of annuity. If you or your spouse have a medical condition, your monthly income doubles. So if you're getting $2,000 a month, boom, you're getting $4,000 a month, right? It's amazing. Call Joe Thomas. Talk to him about annuities. He'll put together a custom proposal based on your situation and your goals. His number is 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And if you missed the number, go to his website. It's the easiest website to remember ever. JupiterJoe.com. And his number's there. JupiterJoe.com. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian. Steve's here. We'll be right back. All right, Steve, I'm going to put you on hold for a minute, okay?
Okay.
Hold on. Okay. If you're on hold, stand by, guys. We'll be back shortly. I appreciate those of you that have subbed to my second channel, my vlog channel, Main Street Moments. Please do that. I vlog quite a bit, and this vlog where I went in deep into the Everglades on Alligator Alley, due north of Alligator Alcatraz, is the most recent one from yesterday. And you can go through. And I've got a lot of good vlogs. This one here, the Robot Restaurant, I went out to lunch with my daughter, and the waiters and waitresses were robots. I couldn't believe it. And then here I went to this restaurant, Senor Frogs, and I think I got ripped off. And you can see that. And here I went to the grave of Leslie Nielsen in Fort Lauderdale, all kinds of stuff. And you check it out. Got a lot of cool stuff there. And, of course, I'll be adding stuff there on top of all the, I got like 100 vlogs up there already. Okay, we got about a minute. All right, Steve, you there?
Yes.
I got one minute. Got 1 minute.
Tell Laura to call me. Communication not good this morning.
Okay.
Tell her to call me.
All right. We got 1 minute, though, so stand by. Oh, man. Yeah, those of you watching online, if you disagree, you're welcome to call in. I don't see how anybody could be against this, but, I'm sure you got a case. All right, 20 seconds. All right, we're back on this Monday, January 5th, 2026. I'm Brian. Steve Kane is here. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. All right, you want to try the phones again?
Let's do it.
All right, let's go. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Once, twice. See what I mean, Steve? The liberals, they're checked out to lunch. Oh, by the way, I just want to mention, if you're on hold, hang in there. See, we haven't had one coherent liberal all day, Steve. I mean, sometimes can't you just say, okay, Trump was right? Is that so? Why is that so difficult for them? Why can't
I don't think so.
I'm sure there was something Biden or Obama did that we thought was right. Oh yes, they both left office. That's right. That was good. I agreed with them on that. All right, let's try another one. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning. I just wanted to say that President Trump did the right thing. I mean, Venezuela and Cuba they have been under this dictator communism, and it's just people have been suffering for many years. And the fact that he did not give notice to Congress, I think that was great because it was going to be leaked out. I'm Cuban. I've been here for 40-something years. I consider myself an American. But we have paid a tremendous price. A lot of people have died. And communism has to be eradicated. Thank Trump. I think he is definitely ordained by God and blessed because the man is unstoppable. We love Trump. I hope he would run for another term.
Yes.
But I think we have an amazing team. We are unstoppable, and the world is seeing what he is doing. Everything is coming to the light.
Mm-hmm.
God bless him. Thank you, Brian, for your show. It's amazing. Thank you so much, guys.
All right,
Bye-bye.
take care. All right, so things are going. This is what I think the whole country's been magatized. Everyone's MAGA now, Steve.
It would seem that way, but you're going to find anti-Trump people. There's no question. I mean, that disease is widespread, and it's not going away fast.
When I saw Anna Navarro over the weekend, and Brennan praising the mission in Venezuela, I was like, wow. Now, Brennan, you can make the case. Well, he's just trying.
I'd love to have seen that.
Yeah. Now, Brennan, you can make the case he's trying to stay out of jail, so he's sucking up. But Anna Navarro on The View was praising it too. Yeah, because so I mean, when you've got Anna Navarro and you've got Brennan praising Trump's operation in Venezuela, I mean that really maybe they're finally coming out of their Trump derangement syndrome suffering days. So many people. I mean, who's really left? This Islamic mayor of New York, Zohan Mamdani. This was another one. He called President Trump over the weekend. Trump took the call, which I don't know if he'll be so readily doing moving forward. But Zohan Mamdani called President Trump over the weekend. President Trump took the call, and he called to condemn him liberating Venezuela. I mean, I don't know who he thought he was.
You gotta love that.
Who did he think he was doing that?
You gotta love that.
Yeah. Mamdani.
Well, I mean, it's typical. These guys are just in another reality.
Yeah.
But it never ceases to shock you when you hear it.
Well, he's trying to put himself on an equal footing with the president. Like he's equal with the president, so he's calling in to weigh in. And I don't think the president will be taking his calls so much anymore. And did you see Mamdani's subway ride? Did you see this, Steve?
No, I did not.
He put together this fake subway. He was really on the subway, but he did this fake thing that was supposed to make it look like it was spontaneous, And he gets on the subway, and then you see a camera. You see some. He walks out of his house. He's not staying in Gracie Man. He's staying in his regular house still. He hasn't moved. And they have the chauffeur-driven car ready, and then he starts to get in it, and then he stops, and grabs and touches his bodyguard on the shoulder and says, I'm going to take the subway spontaneously. And then he gets on the subway. Right. Mamdani gets on the subway spontaneously, unplanned. And then you see a camera angle that you're not supposed to see. And there's a camera crew there that have cameras that look like television news cameras from the 70s. I mean, they're like massive movie cameras on these guys' shoulders filming. So it's totally spontaneous, right? With this film crew that just happened, I guess this film crew just happened to be on the same train car. And then no one on the train's making a big deal about him, which shows that they're all paid extras, right? None of them are like, oh, Mamdani. I mean, if I was on the subway and Mamdani got on, I'd take a picture with him. I'd be like, oh, Mamdani, you're here. Let me take a picture with my MAGA hat on with you. But nobody was making a big deal. They were just sitting there. Then, and of course, everybody in the media picked up on this. But then, Steve, where he sat got him in some trouble. You haven't seen this story at all?
No.
Oh, it's great. He didn't sit down in a normal seat. He sat down in a seat that's reserved for disabled people. So, so he's taken a seat away from somebody in the subway that's disabled. And then what happens? Right? This big fake thing is being exposed. And then today in the news, the man who was going to make public transportation free, they raised the bus fare by 50 cents this starting today in New York City. So far, his reign of mayor has been a disaster, to say the least. I'm sure that the subway footage will be on television. All right, do you want to attempt some more calls?
Sure.
All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Ryan, calling from LA.
All right, Ryan. You're on the air.
So, all right. So here's what I gotta say. Like, I don't particularly like Maduro. Don't care what happens to him. Awful human being doing awful things to a lot of people down there. I'm glad for them that he's gone. I don't think it helps America all that much unless you're talking about us taking their resources, which is not really an ethical thing to do, in my opinion. Otherwise, don't particularly care about Venezuela. My concern is that Trump's a little bit too occupied with foreign adventures and not paying attention to what's going on the home front.
Oh, really? What should he be paying attention to that he's not? Watch. He's going to mention Epstein. Yeah.
A lot of the criminality and criminality and corruption in our government is a huge.
We're with you on that. We agree on that. And it is true. I mean, what the caller is saying is true. They seem to have taken a breath and a pause, albeit temporary, in this thing with the scandal in Minneapolis. But that'll be back before the day's over, I'm sure.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, Gavin Newsom lost $24 billion meant to help just homeless people. Imagine how much other money.
Lost it, or did he buy a vineyard with some of it? I mean, yeah, I don't.
Isn't it incredible how it's almost totally the Democrats? You read almost nothing about scandals concerning Republicans.
I think we got some slimy Republicans, but they're definitely better than the Democrats. And that's really where a lot of Americans are at, I think, right now, is they wish Trump was doing more, maybe doing some other things besides the foreign stuff.
Well, wait a minute. When you say that, I mean, do you really think the fraud is on the scale with the Democrats like it is with the Republicans? Or the vice versa?
No, but I don't think it's absent either. It's not absent either. The Republican congressmen get really rich too, and they let a lot of slimy stuff go on.
Can you give us a couple examples?
Dealing with the GOP. Can you give us? Excuse me.
Can you give us a couple examples of Republican dishonesty?
Well, Well, okay. It's all connected, but you talk about what's happened with immigration.
Hold on. The question.
Let me.
The question. You know what the question was? What question are you
Look,
answering?
The immigration problem is intertwined with corruption. They're using it for votes. They're using it.
Give me an example.
All these
Give me an example. Give me an example of Republican corruption.
I don't know if you don't have the internet or what's going on,
have it.
but it's
you're
all,
the one who's
all you have to do is
you're the one
spend
who's claiming it, and you don't have an example.
Look, can I talk?
I don't know. You're not saying much.
Listen to two minutes on X, and you can see all of the corruption involved with all of the Democrat bullshit.
Well,
No. Hold on. We had to hit the dump. He couldn't. He lost control of his language, Steve. He was.
He didn't lose control. He purposely got himself hung up on.
That's right.
He didn't have an answer to the question.
That's correct. That was the lifeline.
He said there's Republican corruption, but he couldn't give us one example.
Exactly. Oh man, we have great listeners in this audience, and we're the only show that I know of where you actually hear members of our audience, talk about the sponsors of the program. Listen to this, Steve. This is one of our listeners. They went to Life Imaging FLA. They found out they had heart disease. They had coronary artery disease, in fact, without any symptoms. That's amazing. What I've come to learn, because when you hit 50, you start learning about these things, right? The first symptom of heart disease usually is like instant death, right? And people are going into Life Imaging FLA from this audience, and their lives are being saved. They're finding out they have heart disease. They're finding out they have cancer, all these things without any symptoms, so they can go to their doctor, they can go to their cardiologist and get it treated before they get that symptom of the heart attack and instant death. And it's just so amazing that, here we are, a new year has just begun, 2026. And these listeners of ours, Steve, they wouldn't be with us right now if it wasn't for Life Imaging FLA. It blows my mind. It is so amazing. And guys, keep letting me know about these things, and I'll continue to share them on the air. Call Life Imaging FLA for your free heart scan with a few minimum requirements, valued at $699. From your cell, call pound 250 and say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. That's pound 250, just say free heart scan, and you'll be connected in seconds. They have locations in Broward, Palm Beach, and Dade County. Again, pound 250, say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. All right, Steve, I'm going to put you on hold. We'll take our break and be back with the first gold report of the week.
Morning.
Hey there, we have 1 minute, okay, and we'll be live. Okay, hold on, I'm going to conference Steve in. Steve, you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, I got William on the line, so we've got 1 minute, and we'll be back. So stand by.
Okay.
Oh man. All right, 30 seconds. All right, and it's time to check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated in Boca with our first look at gold, silver, and the other precious metals for this first full week of 2026. William Youngerman, how the metals starting this week off?
Starting off with a bang. The metals started off, Friday we saw gold close up $12.70 at $4,330.30. Silver closed out the week up $1.23 at $72.77. Platinum was up $78 last week, closing at $21.44. And palladium gained $14 on Friday, closing out the week at $1,618. The rally continues as gold overnight traded in a range of $4,329 all the way up to $4,441, well over $100 up. And right now we're up $82.70 on gold at $4,413 the ounce. Silver up $2.63 at $75.40. Platinum up $91 at $2,235. And palladium up $77 at $1,695. So there's certainly no weakness in the metals. And that being said, bases are being built as we've had this sideways action now for a while, with silver bouncing off of $70 support levels a few times, but building strongly above 70, which means we could be looking at $80 this week on silver and more, and even more possibly. Platinum acting very strong, gold building a strong base around 4,300. So the markets are doing very well, and not to be discounted by some of these people that are charting things and stuff and saying that this is similar to the 1980 or 2011 when gold hit $50. But remember that gold in those days hit $50, but didn't really settle above $50 on either of those events. It was an intraday high, and then they came crashing down. That was silver. Not so this time. Silver went through $50 like it was butter, and continued to rally all the way up to over about $85. So we have had a very strong market on these markets, and they have not, for the most part, looked back at all.
No.
So any dips, again, we recommend any dips to be bought.
Now, let me ask you, with silver, I'm just thinking about those 1 ounce silver coins, Steve, that we paid like $11 for, that are now, you know what I mean? This is great. This is amazing. What are some of the best buys right now with silver, where you're getting the most silver for your money that you have in stock?
Well, the truth is the 90% is still the best value. The premiums are coming up on everything. There's the shortages that we're finding out, and the premiums are moving higher very quickly here. So the best buy right now is the 90% silver coins, which were $4 under spot for Steve Kane listeners. We had to raise that. They're now $2 under spot.
Wow.
But that's still a great buy. It's still the lowest premium silver you can buy right now. And we have plenty of that in stock.
So 90% silver, $2 under spot. And for people that don't know, 90% silver is silver. Can you explain to people what that is? Because
these are the coins that we issued in 1964, our dimes, quarters, and half dollars from 1964 and prior. They go back as much as 100 years. And these coins are available because they were made out of 90% silver. So 90% of their content is silver. The remainder of 10% was copper and other alloys to make them harder. But that being said, they trade for a formula that we share with everybody that comes out to, you can find out that each dollar contains 0.715 of an ounce of silver. So 10 dimes, 4 quarters, or 2 half dollars has just about 3/4 of an ounce of silver. Mm-hmm. And you're buying that 3/4 of an ounce of silver for $2 less than the price of silver.
And it's $2 under spot price for silver, which means you're getting, if I'm saying this incorrectly, it's hard to say. You're getting silver for less than the price of silver, which is
that's right.
That's correct. Okay, because I want to be careful, because it's amazing. And I've been telling you, Steve, I've been trying to turn you on to 90% silver. Listen, give William Youngerman a call, no matter what you're looking for: gold, silver, platinum, or if you're looking to sell or buy. He opens up at 10 a.m. Normal hours, of course, because the new week is the first regular week. Opening at 10 a.m. 1-800-327-5010. 1-800-327-5010. Or stop in Boca at 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca. just east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road on the first floor of the Bank of America building. Find William Youngerman's phone number and address on his website, williamyoungerman.com. All right, William Youngerman, great way to start the year. We'll talk tomorrow.
Okay, have a great day. Thank you.
All right, take care, take care. All right. Okay, you back with us, Steve?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, yeah, your favorite person, Jay from Jersey.
Oh, hey, Jay. How you doing?
I'm good.
Celebrating, I'm sure.
Huh? What you say, Mr. Old Man?
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Okay, there we go.
I said, I'm sure you're celebrating.
Celebrating for what? The foolishness that's going on?
Freedom.
No, I'm not celebrating.
Freedom.
No, it's no freedom. We raiding
no
other
freedom.
countries, stealing the oil like a bunch of pirates.
You're telling me that you're a prisoner of your own mind.
We're stealing ships and oil like a bunch of pirates. We're putting people in prison like what they did for when they did it to the Jews. This is the worst thing that's ever happened to the United States. So don't try to come with me with all that dumb stuff. Now, what I called about is, today, Brian, you said that we have to take our taxpayer money and feed them people over in Venezuela. But when they was burning the food that was going to all the other foreign countries, you said we can't feed other countries. We got to worry about ourselves. Now you willing to feed Venezuelans off American money. You tell me how you go on both sides of the fence there, Brian.
I don't remember any of those things you said that I said.
You can't remember it.
Because I don't think it happened.
You can remember it when you want to remember it. You know good and daggone well that they burned all the foreign food that we give to other countries that were in warehouses. We burned it. But then now you're telling me we should take American money and now we're going to take care of Venezuela. Do you know how many countries that he's giving money to now?
We're not. No, Venezuela is going to take care of Venezuela with their oil. President Trump talked about this over the weekend.
He has cut off food stamps for people here in America where he got Americans starving. But can you talk about feeding Venezuela?
They're eating dogs in Venezuela, and you're upset that we're going to help them eat regular food. What kind of liberal are you?
To help anybody, but you said it was not for the American people to do.
Venezuela's.
And now you say it is.
I don't know what you're referencing before. I have no idea what
He
you're referencing.
doesn't know what he's referencing either. All we said was that you have to be qualified. Maybe, God forbid, I know this. Get ready to shudder because this is going to be, as a liberal, this is going to be painful to you. You may have to do a little work to get your food stamps.
Okay, and Steve, you asked.
Is that a bad thing?
You asked somebody, what did Trump do that's enriching? Put it this way: once his term is up, where all of these people is doing all this corruption going to go? Because they're all going to jail.
Yeah, Tim Walz. Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, Tim Walz and the Somali criminals of Minnesota. Yeah, probably.
No, I don't think so. I don't know where y'all think.
Can you name it? We asked that last caller to put him on hold, Brian. We asked that last caller if he had any examples of Republicans' corruption on these food scandals, welfare scandals in Minnesota. He couldn't name any Republicans who have been named. Can you name any?
Well, I really don't keep up with Republicans.
If the answer is no, just say no.
You asked me about corruption, let me answer the question. How about the airplane?
Give me a name.
How about the fact that he went down? Let me ask you a question. You talking about drugs. That's another thing I want to say. Why is he pardoning great big giant drug dealers? Explain that too.
Is he what?
Why is he pardoning great big drug dealers? But he say he's fighting drugs. Which one is it? Can't answer.
Do you know what he's talking about, Brian?
Yeah, he's talking about the former president of Venezuela, or of Honduras, and President Trump on...
I'm not. No, I'm not.
Who else?
I'm not. I'm talking about the people he's been pardoning for the last couple of months. They're drug dealers he pardoned. two giant kingpins.
Well, the one that I know about is the former president of Honduras, and he said on Saturday at the press conference, he said he did it because the ruling party of Honduras asked him to, and now they're part of they're allies with the United States because he did it.
Do you know if you got millions of dollars, all you got to do is call up to the White House and say, "We got millions of dollars. Could you pardon my son or my person that's in prison?"
Oh, really?
And he's stealing the money.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, that part don't bother y'all.
Well, you're making things up. How can I be bothered by things that aren't happening?
Oh my God! That's
By the way,
problem.
I'm glad to hear. I'm glad to
things.
hear you're out of the hospital, though. Last week you called us from the hospital.
I'm out of the hospital. That's right. I've been
That's
out
good,
for
and
3
you
days
and you sound great and re-energized with your liberal venom.
Yes, thank you. I'm glad you realized that.
Okay, take care. God bless. All right.
I'm still waiting for the name
Yeah.
of the Republican that
Oh,
was
my
involved
goodness.
in the scandals.
Oh, my goodness. You know, we're in 2026 now, and Trump derangement syndrome, there aren't as many people suffering from it, but those who have it, it's worse. All right, let's try another one, Steve. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Morning, gentlemen. It's Greg.
Oh, hey, Greg.
Hey,
Greg, what's up?
I just overheard your conversation, Steve, with regard to Republican corruption. Do you want like two clear-cut examples, and you could agree or disagree? How about Dick Cheney? How about Dick Cheney and George Bush starting a war when he was associated with Halliburton, profiting off of it? Thousands of lives were destroyed. Was that corruption?
Oh, I thought we were talking about the Trump era, Steve.
How did Dick Cheney start a war?
Are you
mean the vice president? Hold on, you're talking about the guy who was vice president?
Yeah, the guy.
Well, I wasn't aware that the vice president had the ability to start a war.
You don't think
give me an example of something like that?
If you watch the documentary about it, Dick Cheney was a huge influence. He actually probably.
Well, I would love to do that, but they burned all the tapes.
Okay, well, watch the
committee
documentary.
burned all those phony tapes.
Okay, let's go to another one that's more recent. How about
Let's go to another one.
How about George
the one
Santos?
that we just shot
How about
down?
George Santos? How about George
What
Santos?
about him?
Okay.
What about him?
Funding with funds. Wait, he stole money from contributions for his lavish lifestyle. He lied about his resume.
Listen, we've only got 15 seconds. George Santos got removed from Congress and sent to prison. So that's not somebody that got but he didn't get. That's not somebody who got away with it. We were talking about corruption where they got away with it. Those were pretty weak. We're out of time, Steve.
That last one was an example that proves our point.
Exactly. We threw him. The Republicans threw him out of Congress, and he went to prison. All right, it's the Steve Kane Show. Steve Kane has been here. My name is Brian Craig. Boy, oh boy, first regular week of 2026. We'll see you tomorrow morning on the Steve Kane Show at 6 a.m. Oh, boy. Hey, guys, thanks for watching. Again, please subscribe to my second channel, my vlogging channel, Main Street Moments. Just look it up on YouTube. I put a new vlog up yesterday. I know a lot of you have subscribed this morning. Thank you so much for doing that. And check out the videos. I think you'll enjoy them. All right, guys, I'll see you later on the podcast, all right? Thanks for watching. My name's Brian, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. Take care.